And good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Frostbite team. Today, we are going to be watching Frostbite Mayhem continuing their Div 2 road against Quantum Enigma. I am joined today by Thrio. Say hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
So, coming into the day, what are your thoughts about the series? Are you excited?
I am indeed very excited because I believe last time this matchup occurred, it was Frostbite Mayhem who ended up losing. So we're going to be able to see if they can make the comeback or if they're going to be the ones to win this time around and take the series off of the hands of Quantum Enigma.
Yeah, definitely will be interesting. As indeed, last time round, which at this time has been about a month ago already, so a lot has changed since then. It was Quantum Enigma who came out on top in a close 2-1 series. But today we have a total of 5 matches already, so it will be interesting to see how this changes things. And also, Frostbite has been slightly better. Quantum Enigma had to go through one lower bracket match, whereas Frostbite last week had to face off against Celestial and essentially lost again as Celestial. Right now, they're indeed facing Quantum Enigma, who was able to beat Scarlet Fox last week. But we actually don't have much else to talk about that because we are getting into the draft. As we already have the Wukong being taken by Quantum Enigma with a couple of very, very expectable bans.
Yeah, a lot of logical bans here, and the Wukong is going to be the first pick on that blue side. Makes a lot of sense to blind that jungler, and Wukong, a solid AD pick that is just pretty good in general. Into a lot of the junglers that are floating around, and the Tristana, they're going to answer with their AD carry as the first pick on the red side for Frostbite.
Yeah, plus it seems like the Mordekai's are actually also getting locked in here. So just taking the blind picking this up very, very early on, but perhaps wanting just have a strong top laner. Tristana, I'm not the biggest fan of as an AD carry. I think it is solid. It feels like sometimes it can be a bit pointless if it doesn't get ahead too much. As after all, jumping in while you're so squishy can be very, very risky. So it will be interesting to see how Josh exactly pilots it. As it will actually be answered by the Kokma pick. I haven't seen much, but just a strong hyper carry and together with some of the setup of the Wukong can be very powerful in some of the later team fights.
Yeah, Cogmore plus the Braum is very, very much towards the side of the scaling in that bot lane. If you can weather the storm of the laning phase and arrive to a team fight that happens inside of the late game, you're going to be an incredibly strong champion, which is slightly different to how this Tristana plays, but also Tristana is possibly that champion that can flex towards the mid lane if you want to match something to counter this Cogmore Braum bot lane. As the Alistar is going to be locked in, maybe you just want to play aggressive with this Tristana and get an advantage early so that you can stop the Cogmore from being able to scale and win before the Cogmore becomes a menace.
Yeah, just when the Braum is there, it becomes so difficult to essentially play this aggressive style because Braum is so good at just neutralizing so many of these fights. Of course, the Tristana is one of the few picks that can jump over the Braum shield to try and still get himself on top of the Kokma, but it is a really risky play because if you can get sort of stuck there and stunned up by the Braum, and as a result, fall. So I think Frostbite the bot lane they need to be really clean in execution to actually get ahead in this early game because just the Braum is such a strong pick and is able to I think neutralize so many of these fights. So we're interesting to see how the bot lane for Frostbite Mayhem are going to play it, as we see a lot of mid laners being banned away with the Sandra, the Orianna, and the Victor already being taken away. So all of those control mages that are very, very powerful in the team fighting capacity, which be taken away. Both teams needing to improvise a little bit.
Yeah, very much so. A lot of ban priority on this mid lane. Neither of these teams want the opposing mid laner to get that pick, even though Quantum Enigma have already picked their jungler, Frostbite Mayhem have already picked their top laner. It's everyone banning away mid laners except for that Maokai, as Frostbite Mayhem are going to be locking in their Aurora.
Yeah, just I mean, Frostbite now already getting a good bit of dive in that team with, of course, the Aurora jumping forward and the Tristana as well. They really want to just get themselves into the enemy in the faces of the enemy teams as quickly as possible in some of these fights, just try to blow them up. But with the Wukong and the Braum, it will be a bit tough. The Renekton will be taken as a counter pick against the Mordekaiser. Can, of course, break the entire Mordekaiser shield with his W, but it requires a bit of setup. It's actually the Echo in the mid lane is the final pick, so a very aggressive pick in the mid lane. While you don't really see that, might get put out a lot, but we're interested to see how he can find, whether he can perhaps roam in the mid game towards his Tristana.
Yeah, potentially as I'm not entirely sure. This pick it's not seen a lot, and oftentimes it's also picked as a jungler. But Echo here in the mid lane is going to be very interesting. You know, in those early levels, you don't have a lot of range, so you might end up struggling and getting poked out quite a bit into that Aurora. But once you hit that level 6 and you get a good amount of damage, you can oftentimes match the burst of the Aurora. Aurora, very bursty champion, but Echo has a lot of burst as well. So if you can fully proc that passive and get the movement speed, you might be able to find good trades into that Aurora, as the Shen will come out from Frostbite Mayhem, which is meaning that one of these typical top lane champions is going to be going towards the jungle, whether that's it's the Mordekaiser that's going to be going towards the jungle, which is the less typical of the options, but it is very much something that does come out sometimes, and into the Wukong, it makes a lot of sense, who usually is picked into the AD junglers. So the Mordekaiser being an AP character, and also able to take someone important into the Death Realm is interesting, to say the least, for this draft.
Yeah. I mean, I already found the draft a bit interesting when I saw the Mordekaiser being picked up so early, the jungler being essentially left for so late, and Frostbite showing why baiting, I guess, with the Mordekaiser top pick and switching it up with instead a Shen in this top lane does mean that Frostbite perhaps not the highest level of just consistent AoE damage, just because the Aurora has a good bit of AoE burst, but can't really one-shot the entire team if she isn't very far ahead. And then the Tristana and the Mordekaiser also are fairly single target focused, especially with the Mordekaiser Death Farm. So for Frostbite, doesn't have the strongest team fight. I think I kind of want to take a lot of these fights one by one if they can, but if they can get some of the resets on the Tristana, then it can be very, very scary. On the other side, Quantum Enigma have much more, I think, just AoE, although also have some good single target, but with, of course, the Echo and the Kokmar who can just melt a single target with his W. So I think both teams having quite a solid pick potential. Perhaps Quantum Enigma slightly stronger in the team fight, but Frostbite with both the Aurora, Tristana, and the Mordekaiser just have 3 picks that can be so strong in some of these pick scenarios. And when they are able to isolate 1 or 2 members, can really effectively just snowball these fights with all of the resets from both the Tristana and the Aurora on both of their Ws.
Yeah, very much so. I think if Frostbite Mayhem, they're going to want to try and get themselves an early lead and use that Shen to reinforce the aggression in both this bot lane and the mid lane. Quantum Enigma have also got some aggressive components of their comp. The Wukong is relatively go forward and dive, as well as the Echo and the Renekton, but then there's the Kog'Maw Braum as well, which is kind of on the opposite end. So if from the side of Quantum Enigma, it makes a lot of sense to play probably towards that top side of the map where you've got the Renekton, who can be strong, as opposed to Frostbite Mayhem, who have the Shen and are probably looking to play elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, and then definitely also with the Renekton, of course, a pick that can be very, very strong in the early game. Now, the Shen, I think, has, of course, been picked into the Renekton as a counter pick, will be a very, very powerful counter pick as well, because, of course, the Shroud can completely nullify the Renekton stun, and that really does make Renekton's job a lot more difficult. So I think it will be a bit tough for Quantum Enigma to really find the lanes where they want to go, because Braum playing aggressive is not the easiest, especially with Delisar there, who can just knock one key target away. And of course, the mid lane, you also just have an Aurora, which has a good amount of move speed, and with the invisibility, it can be very, very tricky to get a solid gank off. So I think for this Wukong, it might be a bit tough to really find a good lane for him to to find the plays and might just have to focus on the jungle itself, hoping that the lanes itself can get some prio. But right now, I don't really think any of these lanes really do win heavily for Quantum Enigma, so it might be a tough early game for them and might just allow Frostbite to really snowball well into the mid game.
Yeah, despite the strange comp coming out of Frostbite Mayhem, like you mentioned, it is very like difficult for Quantum Enigma to find those advantages in the early game, especially those first few levels where Shen is definitely very strong. The Tristana can play very aggressive when you get that rocket jump and you can just jump in there. And the Alistar, when you hit level 2 or level 3, you are a lot more useful than you are at level 1, admittedly. But the Aurora is obviously going to have the range advantage as well in the mid lane. So this Wukong might have a lot of difficulties finding somewhere to go and places to gank. However, the Mordekaiser jungle, I have no idea how that's going to play out whatsoever.
I mean, it is of course Harold, who has been who's a long-time top player, so he is definitely, or he's very, very likely, let's say, proficient on the champion. So yeah, perhaps he can make it work. Of course, I expect him to have tested, and there's like the mechanics he should have down, and it will be interesting to see how it works. Of course, it's not the strongest, the fastest champion, but if you can blend one of those pullbacks, then it will just be quite solid to take the kill. There's just so much like go forward for the rest of Frostbite that the moment that essentially so somebody lands any type of CC, they can really jump on top of it. So I think it'll be just interesting to see if he can land these E's consistently, because otherwise it will be a bit tricky for him to get these ganks to work. But I think also the general early game strength for the Wukong, the Mordekaiser, might just allow him to just stay in the jungle itself and try to take fights with the Wukong, perhaps, hoping then that the rest of his team can have the prio to help him. So yeah, perhaps we might just see Frostbite play around the Mordekaiser much more instead of the Mordekaiser trying to play for the lanes. And we might just have a really, really strong Mordekaiser in the mid game if Frostbite can get him ahead.
Yeah, there is a lot of mobility on the side of Quantum Enigma to dodge away from those Mordekaiser skill shots, but looking at their team comp, it's primarily melee. They've got the Wukong, the Braum, the Renekton, and the Echo, all melee champions, and it's going to make it a lot easier for this Mordekaiser to just start hitting them, proccing that passive, and just slowing them up with a Rylai's potentially once it's bought, and just walking down these Quantum Enigma melee champions, making sure they can't go anywhere, and picking up kills off of the back of that. So Mordekaiser makes a lot of sense, actually, and especially, I mean, it was picked as the in the first rotation for Frostbite, but then Quantum Enigma drafted 3 melee champions afterwards. So there is a good bit of mobility, of course. The Braum, Renekton, Echo, and the Wukong, they all have dashes, but still the Mordekaiser are going to be very good at sticking on top of people.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just Frostbite. They're a tough team to get away from here if you don't fight it. So interesting. I think this Echo is really going to be the big pain point for Quantum Enigma, because if he can get ahead, of course, it can be super duper frustrating. But the problem is that even in the mid game, like there's just so little targets for him to one shot, because it will be either Tristana or the or Aurora. But the moment essentially Tristana sees the Echo coming, can just rocket jump away. And at that point, it will be very, very tough for the Echo to really make the play. And with the Aurora, of course, can be invisible, but also just does a lot of damage. So can maybe just face tank the damage, or just, I guess, more just burst the Echo down herself. So I think it would be really tough for him to be useful in the mid to late game. As I mean, 3 of the members from Frostbite, he just won't be able to one shot. With the other 2, I think having the movement to get away. So yeah, I think that this Echo is really going to struggle. Same, I think, maybe with the Renekton, because Renekton has a bit more of the tankiness to just stay in these team fights and try to get the stuns down. So yeah, I think Frostbites have a slightly nicer comp here. Just the only real problem they might have is in the sort of the more coordinated team fights, 5v5s. They might run out of damage at some point. As after Tristana uses her abilities, she can sometimes slightly struggle if she isn't really able to kill someone and can start jumping in and out of the fight. So it will be interesting to see, as especially with Black Wings, who did have a very, very strong game last time round when these two teams faced. might just be able to go crazy on this Kog'Maw with the peel of the Braum and the UKEL, as they have a bit of an evade, but none of Frostbite actually walks into it. So right now it seems like it's just a nice little movement.
Yeah, both of these teams stacking as 5 as a little bit of a disconnect there from the Renekton, but nothing too problematic as neither of these teams will run into each other. They're both just going to sit as 5 in their own bush and wait for someone to come. But no one's come because everyone's sitting as 5 in their own bush.
Yeah. I think the stream is actually frozen on my end, so I can't actually see anything.
Yeah, I think that might just be because of the pause. Yeah, no,
yeah,
I'm
all right,
back by the looks of things.
all right, perfect. Yeah, so it does seem like Quantum Enigma has left their own bush. They're walking towards their lanes. Frostbite now doing the same, starting to move over. Frostbite might actually be a tiny bit later in his bot lane, but I don't expect it. Any means to actually go to waste here. So yeah, both teams hoping that they can capture the other team out, but not managing in the end. Now I think that the Shen, of course, has some very strong early levels. It will be interesting to see. I think level 2 he might be a bit weaker, but once he has the Twilight's Edge and has those essentially can dodge away from those auto attacks from the Renekton, will do a lot better. So it will be interesting to see how this top lane matchup can play out. Of course, Shen before level 6 does a lot of damage because he doesn't really get any extra damage at level 6, so he kind of needs to be able to stay competitive around that point. As we actually see this Tristana almost getting stunned up, a big trade already happening in this bot side, but at the end he had to start getting stunned up, taking quite some damage. Bo is able to get out. As we do have also fighting in this top side, Chen hitting level 2 earlier. This Compensa can actually secure the play. So right now some faded fighting going on around the map. As it's Quantum Enigma winning in the bot side, Frostbite winning in the top lane.
A little bit of scrapping everywhere, but Frostbite were the ones who managed to get that ward. They spotted out where Poro Demon was going to be starting and where they're going to be pathing towards. So they know that the bot lane is going to be the recipient of a potential first gank, as in the mid lane, even more fighting, but the passive will be procced by Ari Darling, and the movement speed will get them to safety. But Quantum Enigma Genesis, they didn't have a ward, so they weren't able to see where Harold on the Mordekaiser was going to be starting, and they won't necessarily know whether they're pathing towards this bot lane here.
Yeah, it will be a bit tricky, especially because the end of the game, Blangongs, he is very, very immobile, so it will be a lot more difficult for him to get away from the Mordekaiser. Of course, I still have a Braum there, so in case those fights start, the Braum can just jump in with the Unbreakable right in front of him. But it will be it will be tricky to see how that plays out. We do actually need to have now Harold pathing towards the spot that he is almost there, but Kog'Maw might be a bit too far away. So we see more training going on in this top side, and the Renekton falling really low. Is able to land a stun. But in the meantime, we do have the Tristana jumping in on the bot side towards the Kog'Maw, but Kog'Maw now able to return some fire with the shield in front of him. As that is just Josh taking a fair bit of damage in that bot lane, and that is just the frustrating part about the ROM, as if you can't execute after behind the shield, and just he will just be able to walk after you with the shield up, and you can't trade back, but you will be just slowly whittled down by the Kog'Maw here. And at the end, it is indeed just Frostbite taking quite some damage. Tristana having to sit underneath the turret as Harold is walking towards the top side.
Josh is so very low, and Harold managed to grab that bot scuttle. The clear was faster from the Mordekaiser, but with no mid laner there, the top scuttle will be traded back by Poro Demon. So neither jungler is going to double scuttle the other one, but Harold will be straight away into that second full clear, just going to go to those Krugs immediately, which means they will be behind on the items, right? Poro Demon managed to pick up an entire Sheen, so if they do end up fighting each other, or Poro Demon looks for a potential invade, which might be a good angle here, it will be the Wukong getting better of the Mordekaiser. However, if Harold Hamhand is allowed to just continue this farming and go back into the second full clear, they will be the one to do it faster, and they will be able to take their back faster.
Yes, it will be interesting to see as we see some just more training going around around the map. Skimpanzer didn't actually have to use his teleport there, as we did have Blidox needing to use it. So right now in the top side, a small advantage towards Skimpanzer, but of course once at level 6 hits, Blidox will just be a lot more powerful in these fights. So Skimpanzer, I think he's made the most of it, keeping the TP for now. but very, very soon this Remington will just be much stronger, especially with these traits already not really going over to the Shen. So yeah, Skimpanza might need to start looking towards the map a bit as soon as once the Renekton hits level 6, he can't do much more than use his Stand United on on another lane, because fighting against one lane will just be so incredibly tricky. So yeah, we might see some fighting in the bot side soon, once Skimpanza hits the level 6.
Very potentially, as there is no TP like you mentioned on Blidox, so it will be Skimpanzer, the one able to join if necessary. But Harold, like, managed to get that back, managed to pick up a blasting one, so is also ahead in terms of gold on the items. So if they wanted to fight this Drake, it would be a potential angle with the bot lane now coming out of base, as no reset yet from Parademon as well. So as the Braum also has to base, it might be the time that Frostbite want to start up this Drake, and it's looking like they're getting ready and in the area to do so. They are very much at stronger points in this game. The Kog'Maw also not finishing that back, so a BF sword for the Tristana to a pickaxe and a dagger for Black Wings on the Kog'Maw means that Tristana also ahead in terms of gold spent, as Ori Darling trying to get Prio here in the mid lane to at least deny the Drake for a little bit, and it seems Frostbite, they're not going to start it just yet.
Yeah, don't quite have the pressure just yet. It is a bit interesting that this Tristana has been able to pick up the BS spot over the Kog'Maw. I think the goal where spent is very, very close, as the Kog'Maw instead decided to pick up the refillable pot. And I think if you add up all the gold he spent, it is very, very close. But perhaps just Tristana waiting a bit longer in lane. Is behind in the farm department, so will be behind in gold, but it does just seem like the Kog'Maw right now has more gold in his own pockets. As he is actually a bit higher level, with Skimpanza in the meantime having also taken over to level 6. We have perhaps not, the parallel conventions won't land for the Echo. At this point, he is able to get slightly nicer traits, but with all of those passive procs going down, we now also have the ultimate being used by the Echo as the Aurora trying to chase him down. The damage is not there, flash away from the E to make sure he survives, as that is a lot of damage going down. And the first flash being used in this game, as Aurora has to just get away there.
Yeah, very much so. And meanwhile, Frostbite doing that Drake, it is a little bit delayed, which means that Harold's camps, they've already spawned, and he's going to be missing a lot of tempo on these camps. But he is trying to make up for it by finding another pick, maybe onto Parademon, or just pushing them off of the grubs so that hopefully they can secure those. But as you can see, both these junglers with all of their camps, there might be a bit of fighting as the headbutt pushes Blackwings under the tower, and Blackwings is going to go down. The lethal tempo already stacked as the Buster Shot will send Smelio under the tower as well. Both of these bot laners tanking up tower shots, not by their own will. They will both go down. Frostbite finding the first 2 kills of the game here in the bot lane.
Yeah, just a beautiful play there. Bo recognizing the angle, seeing it was possible there to go forward. As in the meantime, we might actually have another fight in the top. No. But just beautiful flash there. And of course, it is just one of those moments where the only real way to get around this Braum is to make sure the Kog'Maw is already right on top of you, as it will just make it so much more difficult for the Braum to really find the good angle for the shield. And this time they're just able to punish, and also getting the Braum after a nice little play, Smelio being a bit too far up there. We didn't really see any flashes burned by the Quantum Enigma members, so just I think recognizing that they were dead a bit earlier. But yeah, just a beautiful play there by Bo to be able to punish this Kog'Maw stepping a bit too far up and kind of setting his bot lane straight a bit more. With now the Tristana getting those 2 kills, is slightly behind in the CS not CS XP department, it seems. But for the rest, we'll be moving towards those. I think it's going to be the Yunara Wild Arrows quite soon. So it will be interesting to see how much he can do with that. As yeah, it's just now Frostbite taking a bit of a gold lead with that good play on the bot side. As they also were able to get one of Whip. So just also in the feed department, they are really far ahead.
Very much. And also Josh was able to get the 1300 gold back to pick up the BF sword, which means Yuntal a lot easier to build when you can get that one first back off with the gold for the BF sword. Otherwise, it's a very difficult item in terms of the build path, because the scout slingshot kind of sucks And if you can't grab the BF sword, you don't have a lot of damage. More fighting though in the top lane. I don't think either of these guys are going to die just yet. And yeah, Harold completely unpunished for that dragon take earlier, as Parademon didn't go for an invade or anything like that. And that means that Harold remains even / ahead, like basically even in terms of the CS. And the first item of that Rylise has now been completed, which, as we mentioned, incredibly good into the 4 melees that Quantum Enigma have on their team.
Yeah, we're really frustrated because in the meantime we have in the top side its own landing. Dominus will be used, but without Harold Hammond there, it might not do too much, as the Death Ram also used to make sure its Campenza is safe, heal secured, feet secured by Frostbite, and just a beautiful gank there, able to punish Blind Dogs. Nice job, as the Renekton without a flash there.
Skin Panzer didn't even have to burn the flash, just the Shadow Dash was enough to get in range. And then Harold took Blidux straight into the Shadow Realm, and a beautifully played gank there. 3 kills to 0 now for Frostbite, which means they grabbed themselves up that feat of warfare. And Ari Darling just gonna jump straight out from underneath that tower, just looking for a bit of harass. Both of the ultimates will be traded by these mid laners. So Ari Darling has got the teleport, as Siasti has just come back to lane with it. So a good bit of trading is actually beneficial for Ari Darling here, as Siasti cannot base and TP back into the lane. Ari Darling does have that liberty, so the trade is going to favor this Echo here in the mid lane.
Yeah, definitely. So also we do the onslaught arrows being picked up by Josh here, so he will be a bit stronger. No first item yet, it seems, full the Kokomo. We'll be waiting a bit more, of course. Went full the boots first, so it will be a bit longer before I think the Blade of the Ruined King will be online for him. So yeah, just right now, Frostbite, the gold lead not as much as their kills would allow, as the farm being very, very solid from Quantum Enigma. The Echo being ahead here in farm is a bit surprising. So just really, really good play here by Ari Darling to make sure that he is able to get as much CS as he can, and even more than the Aurora at the end. So overall, Quantum Enigma doing just really well in the farm department. But for the rest, it is Frostbite ahead, already having the feat of warfare and now also the turret. It's for now safe, but of course, when there's a Tristan on the other team, it is quite scary for the turret, as we do actually have 1 level up for Skin Bands and Music, and we trade quite aggressively with the team that's picked up, as he is just able to sort of push back this Renekton. Of course, the level importance in this topside is just absolutely massive. The stats you get from it will just change the course of a fight. Because I hasn't actually needed to use his ult just yet, as right now it does just seem like Quantum Enigma, they just haven't really been able to go for many fights as expected in the early game, as Parademon just has been quite invisible so far, as you can't really find any ganks so far, because the bot lane was for the most part pushed up, but you can't really dive as a Braum, and also in the mid lane. The Aura is just so tricky to gank, so yeah, right now Quantum Enigma not being able to do much, but the gold is very solid, as the gold's very solid, as they're just able to farm up quite well.
Yeah, perhaps a collapse though onto Harold. He does have the ultimate if he wants to try and find the isolated 1v1. The Wukong will pop the Cyclone, so a bit of damage coming down there, but Harold just going to have to end up flashing over that wall, as there were just 3 waiting for him as he comes out. Blast Cone will get Ari Darling to safety, and will burn the ultimate of Siasti. So overall, Quantum Enigma not looking terrible, but you know, the gold lead very low, as you mentioned, but the big thing here are these Drakes. Frostbite currently on 2 Drakes, and they haven't been contested so far by Quantum Enigma. And a good trade from Black Wings, but it's not enough to find any kills and to find a gold advantage just yet, which is kind of, you want to be able to have something to say for your 2 missing Drakes.
Yeah, definitely. Just I kind of missing in on the jungle camp department, as now we have actually Skimpanza going forward, but the Wukong is right there, so might be in trouble. That's just a flash out, Blue instantly use it, but still the dashes after him are there for the Wukong. Dominus also pops, but it doesn't do enough, as at the end the flash just isn't enough. No flash up for Parademon anymore. Means he can't really follow and no Cyclone, so the gank at the end fizzles out quite quickly. So yeah, but then solid gank there, still by Parademon. As yeah, not really much up. Both teams just kind of waiting right now for the game to go a bit further. Stand United was actually used by Skimpanza there, earlier, so I did get at least some use in the ultimate. But for now, the game resets a little bit as Frostbite getting a bit more gold.
Yeah, as these waves just pushing back and forth, no one looking for any picks or plays, as thanks to that chunk on Harold and forcing the flash, Parademon will be able to grab the first objective, or like the first full objective, as they only got 2 of the grubs. And a flash forced out by Blackwings as the Glacial Fissure comes down, and they will be able to proc the concussive blows. The lethal tempo stacking once again as the Unbreakable is put up backwards, and the bot lane of Quantum Enigma Genesis will be able to walk out of that one. Harold looking for the gank, but can't quite find the kills.
Yeah, did get a nice little double grasp, death grasp there, but wasn't able to really get the finish there, though wasn't really close anymore. But still a good gank, getting the flash out of the Kog'Maw here is very valuable as right now they are jumping onto him. Once again, walking away, but the Rock and Jump doesn't seem to be up. Josh also doesn't want to flash forward, so at the end, the play doesn't go anywhere on Rick. Will actually used by the Alistar, as at the end they are just able to disengage the fight. But yeah, just the bot lane really want to take the punishes. Now we do have the ultimate being used by the Aura. Corner break also there for the Echo to make sure he gets hold of the health back. In the meantime, we have another gank in this bot lane. Flash away, jump away. I mean, for the Tristana, but now here is the Cyclone kill secured by Smelio, and the gank this time good. Parademon with the Cyclone able to do much more, and was by just walking a bit too far up.
Yeah, these Mordekaiser ganks went to the bot lane, couldn't quite find the kills, and then Booker went in trying to capitalize on the damage that had been dealt, but instead it was Booker who had to burn the ultimate to try and get away, and then Parademon comes to the bot lane and manages to pull off a successful gank, while Harold on the other side of the map tries to look for one in the top lane, but isn't successful, which means now this Herald is going to be able to open up this bot turret, and Quantum Enigma find themselves with the gold lead for the first time inside of this match. Top turret's going to go down as well, as a Shadow Dash will get Skimpanzer in, but Blidox is able to slice and dice their way away, as they don't want any of that. Maybe a second charge, but that's going to land Smelio in the middle of no man's land, and there's 4 capitalizing on this moment. Headbutt is there, and Josh will go on a killing spree and find a kill back onto Smelio, as, well, there was a little bit of turret damage done in response, but maybe driving a bit too deep.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether that was the play. Of course, the third damage will be nice, but we'll see whether the third damage will be worth it over there. Essentially, the 300 gold that they just gave over is going to come back at them. Especially with this Drake now coming up soon. Smelio is back on the map, so should be able to just contest, but still, we might now actually have the Kog'Maw in trouble. We do have the ultimate being used by the Aura. He's just blown up where he stands, and yeah, good pick now, as this will be just another Drake for Frostbite without Blackwings. It's just such a tough fight here. For Quantum Enigma, they will just give it up, so already Soul Point being secured. Of course, it is Camtac Soul, so it's not the most influential one, but still a very frustrating to see go over to the other side in this game. As we do actually have the steal going in. Cyclone also being used. Josh trying to get the damage down. Will the steal come through as the dragon is still alive? It's stolen by the Echo, who Chrono breaks away as Frostbite. I'm not sure how neither jungler secured it there. The smite's just not being used, it seems, and at the end it is Quantum Enigma being able to steal away the soul point. Now Josh also in trouble as he uses the Buster Shot, has to flash away there from the Echo Q, is able to survive. As Frostbite is just, I'm not sure what happened there, as the moment the Wukong just jumped in and everything just went chaotic, and suddenly the Dragon had 300 health and the Echo was able to steal it away. And yeah, Quantum Enigma, I think, being happy with how that went down, because they had no right to contest the Drake. They are able to steal it away.
That is monumental for Quantum Enigma. They managed to find the Drake. Ari Darling is the one who steals it. And I believe it might be one of those smite things where you try and smite the Drake, but for some reason, Riot decides that you'd be better off smiting the Wukong clone or something along those lines. And first Drake for Quantum Enigma means they stop the soul point from Frostbite, and they buy themselves so much more time in this game, where time is of the essence, and they really need this Kog'Maw to scale up. So very good for Quantum Enigma Genesis to stop the soul stacking from Frostbite and grab their first Drake of the game.
Yeah, just really, I guess, happy with that. But right now, it will just be resetting a bit, Frostbite do have the gold lead, of course, was able to pick up another kill there. But the most important thing is that had they picked up the Drake, the defeats would have gone to Frostbite. Of course, defeats they're not the most important thing in the game. The bonus that they give is minimal at best. But still, it doesn't mean that Quantum Enigma do have a chance to claim those feats yet again. And we'll be interested to see if they can do this. We do have now the Shen getting ganked in this top side. Cyclone being used, flashing away actually by Skimpenza, and the rest of his team is right there. So now he needs to sprint back towards the fight. Cyclone being used again as the second proc, as now it is just going to be Poro Demon caught out, Liz securing the kill, and good teleport in. Now the rest of Frostbite here instantly to try and take this. Atakan should be able to take it. The Echo nowhere near, so steal not a problem. But yeah, just a good counter gank there. Flash, I think, had been unnecessary for Skimpenza, but still for the rest, a clean play for Frostbite.
Yeah, very nice collapse. However, maybe the Drift Herald wasn't the worst call after all, because it looks like Ari Darling's going to try and secure this tower. Perfect dodge away from the Shadow Dash. And going to get that shield momentarily and just run out of there with the passive. So we call that a calculated play from Smelio, giving their life to ensure that 700 gold goes over to Ari Darling in the end. And, well, it does bring them quite a good bit back into, well, further back into the game as the gold lead. Now, once again, remaining even, as the mid laners probably going to be about even themselves as well after CSD has picked up that kill and 3 of the assists. But Ari Darling now finds a good injection of gold in the bot lane.
Yeah, that's just not. I mean, the gold lead now roughly equal, even though Quantum Enigma has only been able to pick up 1 kill so far, and it is on the ROM. Is a bit odd in this game. So really interesting to see the difference between essentially farm enters and just straight up kills coming through. So at the end, it will mean that roughly the gold lead right now in the similar places. I mean, Frostbite right now with that outcome, of course, has picked up themselves up a nice permanent buff. And I think it's actually going to be really, really powerful in this game, as there's just a single target damage for Frostbite is so high, so they can really easily burst down 1 or 2 members, and then of course with the Azakan, I think it will allow them to snowball it a bit quicker. So I think it should be a good buff for them, as we do just have the Aurora trying to staying away. So now the Braum does get hit by the Death Grasp, but we do have the parallel conversions. Onto 3 is a big stun. That's only actually procs onto 1, but the rest of now Quantum Enigma now jumping for teleport also in for the Crocus in the middle of the fight. Now we do have the Shen coming in, taking all the damage as he's taken down. Bloodaxe able to secure the kill in the middle of the fight. Now it's also the LSR taken down. Liz is able to secure Aerodynamic in the back of the fight with his Black Wings, who secures the kill onto Bo, as the rest of Frostbite now trying to jump away. He's just able to survive. It's another kill for Liz, as he's able to get 2. Now Frostbite perhaps looking for a fight, but they're also low, as we do have Black Wings chasing them down. Poor Demon gets another, as Black Wings secures the final kill. And at the end, it's a messy fight. And it's Quantum Enigma who comes out ahead.
That did not look like that's how that was going to end. So much space ended up being bought by Bloodaxe, who went in and ended up just dying instantly. But the follow-up from Poro Demon was absolutely massive. And then Black Wings was just able to free fire all over the battlefield and took absolutely no damage. No one found the window to dive onto this Cogmore. And it's an ace for Quantum Enigma. They're going to get their second Drake, courtesy of that steal on the previous one. And now it's 2 Drakes to 2. Quantum Enigma very much back in this game. They've got a gold lead. They've even in Drakes. And they have now got, well, more objectives than the side of Frostbite. So Quantum Enigma in an incredible position in this game, as, I mean, they just managed to not fall far enough behind for it to matter. Even when they were 1-6, they were even in gold. And now it's 6-9, which means they're ahead in gold.
Yeah, I think overall just a good fight, and that's just what happens if Frostbite doesn't really have first move in these fights. It just they didn't have anything onto the Cobalt. It just took them. They just didn't have to deal any damage throughout that fight, and as a result, Black Wings just got the 3 fighters. In the meantime, we do have Arling in trouble. Does use the corner rig, flashes away. A lot of move speed there from the passive, so he's able to just live. But Flash did have to be used by the Echo. But yeah, especially the corner rig will be back soon enough. Baron will spawn, but now the team will be really eager to take it, as it is a risky take. Mid-third is secured by Frostbite. It's Quantum Enigma perhaps dropping the ball a little bit, as they are just able to sneak it away. We do have actually Frostbite maybe in trouble here, as Renekton moving down 5 members though, as they're starting to open up the stun lens onto Shen, but already big damage there by the explosion. Frostbite looking for the 2 men. Laser Fissure is there, jump away from the Tristana as well as back and forward. The rest of Frostbite goes, but the damage isn't really there. As in the meantime, Blackwings is just able to open up afterwards. The side 1 kill already secured by Smellios. Frostbite just don't have any damage left, as it's just another kill going over to Blackwings. And Josh and Liz weren't in the fight, and as a result, the Cockmaul is just able to live and free fire for the entire fight.
Blidox absolutely smurfed that fight on the Renekton, buying absolutely like every inch of space. Josh and Siasti could not make their way into the fight, as there was just a Renekton in their face saying, "No, you don't." This guy just jumps straight into the back line, as Siasti maybe looking to try and find some kills, goes between worlds, finds 2, finds 3, but doesn't find the Baron. It will go over to Poro Demon, but 3 kills onto Frostbite has to look pretty good when you're in this position. And that's a lot of gold injected into this Aurora.
I mean, that's you scream word there. Baron essentially will only be on 2 members now, so they can't actually get 3 Baron up waves this time. A lot of gold going over as well. I'm not sure whether there were shutdowns there, but I mean the Baron would have gone down there anyway. So just able to find as much as he can, and absolutely worth. Just beautiful. I mean, it was indeed true that Quantum Enigma was quite low after that fight. So yeah, just beautiful play there, and it will still be about a 3k gold lead for Quantum Enigma. So it is Quantum Enigma on the front foot here, but it will be Frostbite staying reasonably close. Although I do think that this Tristana might struggle a bit towards the later game, especially just getting the consistent damage onto this Cockmap might be a bit difficult. Will be, I think, able to take down this start here, as the rest of Quantum Enigma not really in the area. They're moving over, but they won't be in time. So I think Frostbite just has been able to sneak away some of these turrets with the Tristana quite effectively, and as a result, make sure that at least the structure balance is not as skewed.
Yeah, they're getting a lot more control of the map, which is very beneficial. It means that, well, when you have this Aurora, you can look for those opportunities to find a good flank or something of that sort. If you can pick off Blackwings, a fight becomes a lot easier for you. However, still not easy, as you've got so much in the way of damage threat from the side of Quantum Enigma. Pretty much everyone except for this Braum can put out their fair share of damage, but the majority of it is certainly this Cogmore. So if you can blow this guy up, if you can find some way of getting a good pick onto Blackwings, Frostbite have a much easier way of finding the fight. And that's something that you can try and look for. If you get a good flank or a good engage, plus a stand united, and there's not enough members there to keep this Blackwings Cogmore safe, and you can find the pick, the remainder of the fight becomes a lot easier. The Drake spawning up very shortly, and Frostbite, they're going to want to try and find themselves at Soul Point here, but Quantum Enigma are definitely the team who are at the advantage in doing so.
Yes, I mean, if they can just find this Cogmore, it is most of what the fight is, but yeah, right now it is Quantum Enigma over this wall, perhaps looking for the big Josh very, very close. He's in a bit of trouble if he gets found out, but the ward is there for Frostbite. Parallel conversion is thrown out, but dodged away from by Frostbite. Harold Hammond is already in this river, so Frostbite a bit split here. As in the meantime, we do have Lytics and the Shen still fighting in topside, of course, with that stand united up. The Shen is absolutely fine, but the other part is also there by Bloodox, so as long as he's here, it is fine. The Dragon started up now by Quantum Enigma. Parallel conversion is going forward once again. Josh trying to deal the damage onto the Echo, but of course with the chrono break, yeah, our darling doesn't have to worry too much, as the weirding also used there by our some poke coming down already, but Harold Hammond also has fallen a bit low here. So both sides just trying to whittle down the enemy team. As I mean, Bloodox still hasn't actually moved yet. Compensa perhaps wanting, hoping that the Renekton moves soon, because well, as long as the Renekton is there, he can't really ult as well, because the Send United can just get cancelled. As now we do have the Between Worlds being used, a lot of damage already being thrown out by the 3-man Cyclone is there though, jump across the wall for the Tristana. Chrono Break gets used early, is now in the middle of the fight. It is though, Poro Demon low, and that's the kill onto the Kokomo as the teleport from Bloodox comes in now, but will it be enough as Send United has come through as well? A lot of damage going down onto the Shen, but as Frostbite, who had the fight still arguing, is able to get one. Bloodox now, what can he do? He's a very, very tanky Renekton, but he can only find one, as it is the Echo, last one left, but he will just have to run away. And Frostbite, it's a messy fight, but the damage coming through from the Mordekaiser and Aurora was able to burst
Don't do
down.
it again. Don't do it again.
No, it is.
Oh my.
It will be the Echo secure. Darling can't steal the Drake this time round. But yeah, Liz and Harold just bursting down Blackwings there allowed them to take the fight. As Blitto just wasn't there on time. The Stand United just being a bit earlier.
Unfortunately, in the end, the steal doesn't come through, and the parallel convergence from the Echo doesn't do damage, unlike Between Worlds from this Aurora. So, no triple kill on the back end of that, and Frostbite, they pick up the Drake. And it turns out Quantum Enigma are really going to regret giving those kills over to Siasti, as that was where like so much of the damage from Frostbite came in that last fight. The Aurora just opened up the fight, going between worlds, blew up so many people on Quantum Enigma, and then the fight was just theirs from that point in. Blidux did manage to TP in and find a good bit of damage, and a few members of Frostbite did fall in the end, a couple, but they still grab themselves the Drake. They still find themselves with the advantage in the kills, especially after Ari Darling went in. And now it's Frostbite yet again with the ever so slight gold advantage.
Yeah, and I think like what we already saw in that fight is just the way that Frostbite is able to win these fights is if this Aurora is able to just get the damage down onto the Kog'Maw, because if he can land the Between Worlds, then the fights essentially are winnable. But if the damage from the Aurora doesn't really come through, it is really, really tough. As we actually have a quick Silver Sash coming out for the Kog'Maw doesn't actually work against Harold Hammond anymore. So if the death round lands, the Kog'Maw will be stuck there until essentially it is over or he has fallen. So I must say, this Shen build is peculiar because he actually isn't that tanky. He has built a bit of a Shen build, but he is showing why it works. As he's just bursting down. This Echo Chrono Break has to be used. Of course, I think what we already saw in the earlier fight as well is that if the Shen overslaps a little bit, he can be absolutely blown up. As in the fight that we just saw the Shen, the moment I think he jumps forward, he also disappeared very, very quickly. But starting up the Baron though. With the Stand United up, actually it is just Campenza teleporting in general, so it doesn't even wait for the Stand United to be used. So Frostbite they're able to sneak this away as the Aurora now also joining in, and Frostbite just able to take the Baron. No real contest coming through. Quantum Enigma caught off guard a bit, and yeah, Frostbite just they look to fall behind a bit, but now looking stronger towards the later game.
There was no angle for Quantum Enigma in that fight. They just had to give away the Baron. And like you mentioned, the QSS is coming through, but I don't really know how useful that's going to be. There's like 2 forms of hard CC that you can use that QSS to cleanse away from. The Trample from the Alistar and the Shadow Dash from the Shen. And that's probably not very useful. And the Magic Resist would probably be better if it was a different item, as a Chrono Break has to be used again. But now Ari Darling's in the middle of 3. So much damage from the Aurora, who is just going to run away. And Kite, down goes Ari Darling. Harold Hamhand picks up the kill. Frostbite are showing that they have come to play, and they're punching back in this game.
Yes, in the meantime, we do have the Shen fighting once again with the Renekton. As we do actually have Blackwings coming as well, Braum also there, so it should be the end of Scampenza very, very soon. Dominus is used. Can he blow up this Renekton, though, is the question. As now here comes the Braum. Oh, good flash across the wall, though, as he's able to get away from Blackwings as well. And the Kog'Maw, who was in the flank, just kind of overstepped a bit, just decided to walk towards the wave, and they aren't actually able to catch Scampenza there. So now a lot of members wasted here, as the bot side is being decimated. So yeah, just Quantum Enigma looks to get a nice catch, but they kind of just misplayed it there. It's now going forward, flash forward. We do have the Kog'Maw in the death room. Didn't actually use the QSS, but will be taken down. Oh, he's able to get the damage. Oh, as he just auto attacks him down. The shield, the barrier was enough. The shield wasn't there for Harold, and he's just able to burst him down. He doesn't even really have Bork, but just a Wit Send, plus the QSS giving him so much MR that he doesn't get blown up there. And now, without Harold, Frostbite kind of need to push out this dragon. Almost up, still look for that bite! They are able to defend Blennox, and now also the Echo blown up. Frostbite, they just find 2 members so quick. Blackwings is now being jumped on by the Shen. Shen doesn't really actually find much of a taunt, but still Frostbite they're able to take down 2. As now the fight that looked very, very tough is very, very fightable because they only really had to use the Buster Shot, it seems. Actually, never mind, the Between Worlds also used, so don't have all their cooldowns left, but without a barrier, the Kog'Maw is also a lot more squishy. It's now the
Oh, see,
so much damage. He has a Terminus, he has a Withsend, he has a QSS, and still he just gets bursted down here by the Aurora. As we don't have the backs coming through from Quantum Enigma. Dragon is up again. Frostbite go towards they had then no one is there. They might just be able to take the soul here. Wukong is close though. As Sporodium perhaps looking for the steal, but the Balasar is there to try and deny to be the gatekeeper. Instead, they will be moved towards a Shen who can just shadow dash across the wall. Soul secured. Frostbite, it's a long, long exchange, but at the end, come out ahead.
I think Black Wings may have realized that the QSS doesn't work. Maybe someone on their team said, I don't know why you've bought that, but now swapped it out for, oh my god, what is happening? Siasti goes backwards with the weirding, the pullback from the Death Grasp. Harold Hamhand finds a little bit of a knockback, but now is knocked up into the sky by the Cyclone and is in the midst of the entirety of Quantum Enigma, just gonna stand still, is gonna die. And yet again, the Death Realm doesn't work out for Harold Hamhand. And that's the second time they have died as a result of using it. And now Quantum Enigma are just pushing in. Soul for Frostbite, but Quantum Enigma don't care. They found a pick on the jungler and they're going to make it work. They're going to make it worth it for them. They find the tier 2 in the mid lane, but with no wave left, as it has just been nuked, they're going to back off a little bit and take away some of these camps away from Harold. Siasti coming around, maybe trying to find a bit of damage, but not enough vision to go in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was Liz missing his combo. He landed the Between Worlds, but didn't land his weirding, I forgot the name of the Q, combo, which essentially does the most amount of burst for Liz. So as a result, the Kog'Maw just was more than healthy, and Harold, who kind of was there, I think, to try and finish off the Kog'Maw after the burst for the Aurora, just didn't have the damage because, well, the Aurora didn't do the damage, and Kog'Maw still had plenty of health. So, yeah, I think the fight not working out for them. I'm interested to see what this Kog'Maw will be building as a final item, because of course he's building a lot of MR to deal with his main two, with the main threats for him, which are of course Liz and Harold Hamhand. But it will be interesting to see what he is going to exactly go here. But for now, it is just Frostbite. They have a small goal lead. They don't. I think the Baron has to take it down. But now, of course, they do have the soul. Up as now, do actually have to set Echo going for parallel conversions. Won't land. The Shadow Dash is able to get himself away. As now Harold is also here with the Death Realm, trying to dodge away. Is Ari Darling the most speed is there? There. Back almost one shots the Shen. As the Shen doesn't look for the clone now. Still, it is Harold Hammond using the Death Realm, trying to finish off. Big shields from parallel conversion come through, but it's still the kill secured onto Ari Darling. In the meantime, it will be Harold in trouble. Goes Goblin, but he can only waste time as there's no damage. There's no way he is going to live here. The Kog'Maw showing up just to add a bit more pain to the equation, as it will be just a kill secured. But in the meantime, it is actually Frostbite. They're teleporting in. They're going for 4 members of Quantum Enigma are in the stop side. We have the teleports coming in from the Shen. This inhibitor will be secured now. They can't get much more, I think. Although they're looking at it, with the bot inhibitor also gone, there's not much more they can take. Perhaps looking for a fight is Quantum Enigma. It's a 5v4. A lot of damage already going down onto this Wukong as Josh now jumping in. He jumps forward, but it's the Kog'Maw who just burst him down. Josh, he went forward, but he threw the burst onto the Braum, and the Braum doesn't fall.
Oh my god.
Going over aggressive there, and there's not much to take for Quantum Enigma as a bit of a relief, as they just left defending the base, but just Josh going way too aggressive there, as now we have the Renekton on the top side, as we get a bit more. God.
And Josh tries to flash away, but doesn't even make it over the wall. Skimpanzer tried to ult Harold when they ended up dying, so didn't have the Stan United to keep Josh alive either. And to be honest, probably good that Stan United didn't go through, as Skimpanzer would be dead as well. But Josh just going in way too far, flashes backwards, but it's not over the wall, doesn't have the reset on the rocket jump early enough to get away. And now Quantum Enigma are looking for the Baron. 1 member down. Josh still remains in the fountain. Grey screen as Frostbite are still looking for the contest. Harold has the flash to try and steal this one over the wall. He's going to do it, but it's going to go to Siasti. They're going to manage to find the steal, and now locked up is Poro Demon, and Skimpad's is going to be going down. The Cyclone is so big from this Wukong. Down goes Siasti as well. 2 Barons already taken away, and I don't even know if Josh was up in time to get the Baron. They're looking to try and find more kills onto Harold, who is just stunned up for the entirety of eternity. Finds one in the Death Realm, but Black Wings will still take down Harold. And 2 are the only members that remain on the side of Frostbite. Josh and Booker, they do still have the Baron crucially, which might mean that they're able to stop this waves from crashing into their base and taking them out here in this game. But 5 members strong from Quantum Enigma, they certainly have the damage to find the kills here if Frostbite step up. Ari Darling isn't here in the fight, which is very crucial, having to go back and defend some of these waves, which means Quantum Enigma will stop at just the inhibitor. With this Elder Drake spawning up in less than a minute, both of these teams have to be ready. Skimpanzer has to stand united, but Harold is going to be the one to spawn latest. 20 seconds on that respawn timer as the Elder spawns in just over 30. Harold's going to have to beeline straight for this objective as soon as they spawn, as both teams will be there and ready.
Yeah, it's only game 1, but it feels like it's game 5 at this point. So many miracle plays already happening. Harold does of course have the Deadman's Blade, so can sprint towards his Baron quite quickly. So we'll just be moving there. Most likely be there in time, but it's just going to be the question whether they can burst down Black Wings, because the Kokma is just able to do so much, and it's just dealing the damage, I think, in so many of these fights. With of course the Runans, he's just able to spread his damage across the team so effectively. So it will be interesting to see what they can do. Of course, as Josh, he just hasn't been able to be as impactful. I think, of course, Tristana just isn't as strong. Up a mid to late game pick, of course, has a lot of range, but the damage is somewhat lacking from this Tristana in the late game. So, yeah, at this point, pretty much everyone full build. I think the Echo doesn't have full build. Some members don't have all their items yet, but 4 items on both teams is quite a lot. As Wukong already being bursted down by Liz in the start of the fight. Harold now kind of here is kind of caught alone in the river, as we do have Liz jumping forward as well. But the burst coming down onto the Renekton is almost 1 kill. Going down, Golden will be Liz, as in the middle of the fight the Cyclone is being used. Flash away, Aridarn now call out is 1, as now Black Wings in the back is able to still lift, but he's low as he's locked up, and it's Frostbite who take the fight, chasing down as Liz is able to get the kill onto the Braum. The Wukong just sprints away, but he is nowhere to be found. Frostbite, they don't want the Elder, they want the end. As it is at the end, them managing to take the fight. It was a close game. Quantum Enigma showed everything they could, but Frostbite just managed to get the fight. The poke in the burst in the fight was just so strong. As now it is the Wukong, he's there, but he will be running away. He will be
dead.
He will survive as he gets himself in the fountain, but it's Frostbite who take game 1.
What an insane Aurora performance here in game 1. And Frostbite clutch it out in the end in an incredible fashion. Siasti does so much damage on the Aurora, and Quantum Enigma just could not contend with it. And in the end, even though Black Wings was absolutely frying on the Cogmore, it just wasn't enough to withstand the Aurora damage. And that's one hell of a game 1.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel like a game 1. It felt like this was already silver scrapes, but we are going for a quick break, as I think the players and we also very much need. So don't go anywhere. We will be back soon for what hopes to be a very, very good game soon.
and watch me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Tape my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. Some days I feel skinnier than all the other days. Sometimes I
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a second to catch your breath after that banger game one. We are back for game two of Frostbite Mayhem versus Quantum Enigma Genesis. I am still joined by Thrio as we're getting straight to the draft.
We are already here in the draft, straight in as Banface has started up. Smolder, Twitch, looks like Frostbite Mayhem are targeting Black Wings here as they were clearly the problem for them in game one. And Quantum Enigma just going to be taking away some similar champions, the Iluai, Xin Zhao. And final ban for Frostbite is going to be that Syndra, which I believe we did see last game.
Yeah, I mean, one of the sort of quirks, or not quirks, just facts of the Phyllis draft set in Valanth League, at least, we see very similar bans throughout all of the games. So actually, we see the Victor. So making a slight change. I'm not sure whether first ban was last time round, but this time it is going to be the Victor's a small change. As it is the Pantheon locked in immediately by Frostbite Mayhem. Can be flex, but likely I think going towards the jungle.
Yeah, very much. And that's what Quantum Enigma think. They're just going to lock it in the Xin Zhao. That's not a Xin Zhao, that's a Jarvan. Same kind of champion. Jarvan probably going to be what they ban. And yeah, the Victor was the second rotation ban last game. It's going to be moved up in priority. And yeah, Jarvan Jinx is going to be Quantum Enigma's pickups. Makes a lot of sense. You can go ahead. Jinx is a very strong pick. Also towards the scaling end. So it gives you a lot of fullback reliability. And well, if you can lock people up in a Cataclysm and just rain rockets on them with Runan's Hurricane as well as Fishbones, you're going to do so much damage with the Jinx. So that makes a lot of sense. Whereas Frostbite Mayhem, going for the more pick-oriented style, the range on that Jhin, the Deadly Flourish, can root someone from afar, and in can come the Pantheon with the Grand Starfall to find those picks on the side lane.
Yeah, just I mean, Frostbite. I think both teams having similar starts to what we saw last time. Of course, Jarvan plus Jinx, but again, a jungler with an AOE. In this case, not fully CC, but CC ultimate plus a team fighting focused ADC that builds Renance. So similar stuff. We also see the Ahri coming out. So both teams just going a very similar style to what we saw last game. As the Ahri can do similar things to Aurora. The Mel though is going to be a bit different. As together with the Jarvan, it will be very scary to get essentially the entire volley onto the people who are within the Cataclysm. But yeah, we already see that poor Demon, if he can land a big Cataclysm, Frostbite will just disappear.
Yeah, certainly they will. And yeah, with the Mel as well, you know, you can do so much damage when they're all locked up like that. And that's what Quantum Enigma very much have on their minds. Just blow up Frostbite, find a good Cataclysm, and then kill them. Just kill them afterwards, as you know, you've got a lot of stuff to play off of, especially with this Mel now locked in as well. If you land the Solar Snare, there's some good follow-up. You've got the CC layering, and then you can throw down that Cataclysm. You can throw the Chompers down as well. So both of these teams so far drafting very synergistic comps, and I like this. I like what I'm seeing from both of these teams. So far, both of these teams banning away a support in second rotation, and the Ambessa also going to be taken away by Quantum Enigma Genesis.
Yeah, just some standard, but not the most standard. As I mean, Frostbite, they do not want those enchanters to go over to the other side. Of course, with the Jinx, the Lulu and Emilio are very scary supports. I think already what we saw last game, what made Quantum Enigma be so frustrating is the fact that they just, I think, had a really tough time getting onto the Skogmaw. And this time around, they want to at least be able to when they get on top of the Jinx, they actually are able to take down the Jinx instead of the wall there. So taking out some of those champions is going to be valuable. Renata will be picked up, not the best match, but can be strong, especially if you can get a kill with the Renata hostile, not hostile takeover, bailout. Then you can instantly also get a Jinx reset, and it can just nicely snowball down. So I see the play here by Quantum Enigma, also the ultimate to stack on top of the Cataclysm can be very powerful. As that Bard is locked in for Bo, as we will see Frostbite. The Bard Pantheon is something we've seen before, and it's Frostbite. Like they are going for picks. If you're alone, then Frostbite will find you. So being on the side lane will be a very risky ordeal for Quantum Enigma this time around.
Oh my god, it's the Mundo top going to be locked in for Frostbite. And well, that took a turn from what I was expecting. Quantum Enigma, they've basically got a comp that says if you group up together, if you are ever within like 5 tiles of your teammates, you're all just going to die. But Frostbite Mayhem, they have different ideas. They want to try and pick off these members of Quantum Enigma. And I think the draft from Frostbite is incredibly good. The Aatrox also suits what Quantum Enigma want to do. Both of these teams, I think, drafting really logical drafts. And I was gonna say I couldn't tell if Frostbite Mayhem, like, this could have just been a like draft lifted straight out of MSI until the Dr. Mundo top is locked in for that last pick. Could also be the jungle Dr. Mundo as Pantheon flexible in his role, but it's you know, the Aatrox is probably going to be locked in, assuming that it is going to be the Mundo top, because you do have a very good lane into the Mundo, as you can knock off his passive with the first Arcane Blade, and second one, you managed to land up the knock up. So I think Quantum Enigma think it's going to be Mundo top, but Frostbite may have different plans.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see this Pantheon go against the Aatrox. It's possible, of course. We'll see. But I do expect it. Of course, if they do send the Pantheon towards the top, then Scampanza essentially will have another global ish ultimate to work with. So but I do simply expect this Pantheon to go towards the jungle. We haven't have any confirmation about that just yet. But yeah, this Aatrox also locks in. I mean, just more AOE damage, I guess, from Quantum Enigma. They see Frostbite doubling down on their game plan, so they will just do the exact same as Frostbite. I mean, their entire game plan is going to be to be as far split as possible. The moment that they are together for even a second, they will have to run away. So yeah, Quantum Enigma with this Aatrox, of course, will just be picking up a little bit for the longer team fights. But Frostbite, I think for them is just going to be like what they want to do is just they want to find one member, and then they find the next, and then they find the next because they can't really do much more than that. So yeah, once again, I think two very different comps will be interesting to see who essentially gets to play their style, and who will essentially be forced to play the other team's style, and as a result, likely lose.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I do really think that obviously it's a case of potential comfort, right? If you can't play the champion, you can't play the champion, and there's nothing you can really do about that. But in this game, particularly, Aatrox has a really good lane into the Dr. Mundo. He does fantastic into that lane. Whereas Pantheon is actually a really good pick into the Aatrox. If you can play Pantheon well and you know, play him to his limit, he has a fantastic time into the Aatrox as well. And then Mundo into the Jarvan, you know, the flag and drag is really the only thing that can proc that passive. So I think overall, if you're looking for a gank bot lane and you can just walk past the Jinx Chompers, for example, as a Mundo, if you're the Mundo jungle. So I think as far as the draft has played out, it is actually a very good game for a Pantheon top and for a Mundo jungle. So if Frostbite Mayhem can play it, then I think they should play it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see how things are going to work. I'm not sure how long we are to game. It shouldn't be, I think, long at this point. We can quickly also talk, I guess, maybe a little bit more about the previous game once everything has calmed down. What were your main takeaways from that game? Perhaps also going into this game.
Main takeaway from the previous game: don't give Siasti a triple kill plus shutdowns at Baron. That's probably the number one takeaway, because so far in this series, 100% win rate when Siasti gets a triple kill at Baron. So I would say that's probably a bad idea. But, Quantum Enigma and, they have a very similar identity in the scaling side. Frostbite Mayhem, they have more early game pressure, but they also have matching scaling. The Bard is good in the late game, and the Jhin, especially into the side of Quantum Enigma, they don't have any really strong tanks. And also Mundo obviously scales incredibly well. So Frostbite Mayhem do have more onto the side of that scaling. So it's less about Quantum Enigma just playing it slow. And like in the last game, that was kind of the idea. You play it slow, and it didn't quite work out because Frostbite managed to get enough gold and enough resources to just end up winning by the time that happened. But I think in this game, you have to be a bit more proactive if you're the side of Quantum Enigma, and instead of just letting things fall into place, which almost worked out for Quantum Enigma last game, and it probably would have done if a few things didn't go awry, like we mentioned.
Yeah, I largely agree. I think Quantum Enigma were very, very close. And I think, I mean, it's one of those games where I think, like, if you look at, there are so many things, like, of course, there are things they could have done better, but for the most part, it's just a couple small moments could have tilted the other way, and you win the game. Because if the Baron doesn't get stolen away, there is just a good chance that they are able to finish the game. Or if perhaps they are able to get another steal, or they don't get picked off somewhere. So it's just, I think that game, it was a game that essentially pivoted on a couple of moments. And I think Quantum Enigma, yeah, both teams just had things they needed to fix. I think Frostbite also should just sort of, yeah, but perhaps their sort of macro was a bit off, and as a result, they kind of lost some early game turrets. So yeah, I think at the end, both teams had a very good game. Both teams had their strengths and their weaknesses. And we'll just see. I'm not sure how long is it going to be until game. I don't hear anything. Okay, so it should be about 2 minutes until the game starts. So we have a bit more time, I guess, to talk about the various things. It seems like draft has gone quite slow this time around. It happens, of course. It's one of the sort of downsides of having to of the fittest draft, having to essentially draft in another thing and then draft having to
can kind of use Jarvan's own ultimate against him.
Right? Yeah. Now there was one thing that I also saw when I first saw the board. I was really interested to see how, essentially, of course, with the extra walls being spawned by the Jarvan, how exactly, or more whether the board was gonna be able to use these to his advantage. And yeah, it will be very, very interesting as we are going into game, but we are also going into a boss. So we will need to wait just a bit longer. But yeah, I mean, I still think that the moment that this cataclysm goes down, the Frostbite just needs to be as far away as possible. Now, luckily for them, the magical journey for the bard can maybe sort of counter this, because if you can just throw the magical journey through the wall, then they might be able to get away. But I do think it will just take too long and they'll be grouped up for too long. So I think for Frostbite, like the most important thing that they need to do at any point is just have every member essentially be 10 meters apart to make sure that if the cataclysm lands, it only lands onto one, and the rest of them can just still play the game. Because once the cataclysm lands onto more than one person, they're all going to get hostile takeover. They're all going to get hit by the searing volley from Ariadne, and Blackwings is going to open up on them with his rocket launcher. So then the game is over, but we will be seeing the players move as the game has started, and they are once again moving. As actually this time only Frostbite is going to be moving as a pack of 5 towards the bot lane.
Yeah, I think Josh being incredibly safe on this Jhin is good. And of course, with the immobile AD carry, the Bard very, very good at moving them around. They don't have the dashes, they don't have the mobility from themselves, but with the Bard, you can donate some of your own mobility, which we might see now as they're looking for a potential invade. What has been leveled up first by Booker, it's going to be the Cosmic Binding. It's going to slow up Smelio, going to have to flash over the wall. And that's going to be a nice Summoner Burnt off of the bat. However, Charm and Deadly Flourish leveled up first, so level 1s might be a little less potent. However, a nice Deadly Flourish will interrupt Smelio's back, which means they might just have to stay. They're going to go back anyway, but the minions have only just spawned. They'll be a little bit late to lane. But if you can zone, like Bard level 1 with Electrocute, by the way, this is Electrocute Bard, not the Spellbook Bard. Level 1 is incredibly strong. So if Booker does choose to come to lane instead of getting some of these chimes, which doesn't quite seem to be the case, but you can bully out this Jinx quite hard for those few moments of weakness in the early game.
Yeah, indeed, the Frostbite will have a slightly weaker early game once the lanes actually hits, but of course level 1 is not really something that goes for a very long time. What is the first nicely dashed away from there by Blackwings is able to just survive at the end, but yeah, I do think that Frostbite. It's one of those moments where I feel like they didn't need to level both the charm and the deadly first, because I think one would have just been enough. As had they landed either of those CCs, then I think the damage for the rest of the team would have just simply been enough. Especially since they're not point and click. So maybe I would have actually just leveled the Pantheon W first, but of course Pantheon's level 1 matters a bit more because he needs to have something of a clear. But no, I mean, of course, the level 2s will hit and level 3s will hit very, very soon as well. So there's somewhat weaker early game points. Oh, nice stun there by the bard. So those early choices will just be nullified. And the Baronetta was able to just get the back off at the end, so we'll just be able to just heal up, and this lane is funny. Oh, you see that charm is knocked back. And that is just beautiful there by the mill, able to get a good trade. Still damage was solid there by Liz, but that was just a nice play there by Ari Darling, and it will be interesting to see because it will just be such a difficult lane for Liz if those kind of moments keep happening. Of course, the charm has a much smaller cooldown than the rebuttal does, but for the rest, if those land, then it can just be a big burst once the ultimate is also there. It can be very, very scary for the Ari, as this time the charm does not get rebounded. And null damage also comes through from the Mari, as the lanes just kind of keep scrubbing amongst themselves.
Yeah, I think the name of the game is making sure you hold that rebuttal so that the Ari can't really ever use the charm. You know, if you never use your W unless the Ari is gonna land a charm, the Ari can't really charm, because if you actually successfully get that rebuttal off, it's such a big advantage in the trade for you, because you have like an extra ability and the Ari misses one, as a bit of fighting happening in the bot lane. But once again, no one's going to die. But we see how these lanes are shaping up. This Aatrox into the Mundo is a very, very strong counter pick. And Blidox, knowing that Mundo is going to be going towards the top side, making a very smart decision to go for it. But a gank in the mid lane from Harald's potentially. Flash off cooldown. Deadly Flourish in the bot lane as well. But there's not going to be anything there. As Poro Demon's coming around the corner. Mana is very much lacking for Siasti here in the mid lane. So the 2v2 would very much go in favor of Quantum Enigma. Frostbite will elect not to take it as a result.
Yeah, I mean, Liz just doesn't have the health there to join in. So, hell, he was there, but Harry Darling was just kind of staring at him like, well, what are you going to do? If he jumps in, you can't kill me, and you just have to run away at the end, and Liz can't do anything either. So, yeah, just a bit of a frustrating situation there by Harold, because he was there at the right time, but Liz just taking too much damage and needing to use too much farm in the earlier trades. And as a result, falling just a bit too far behind. And it's also Muno just trying to get himself through those early levels, just trying to get a flash forward by the Aatrox. Says no, that the healing is there. Is the healing there for the Mundo still? Oh, Blydox, the play. He saw it, but he didn't manage it. The W was enough. Skim Panzer. I'm not sure where he got the healing from, but he got the health, and he gets the first blood. And Blydox, he saw the angle, but he just didn't have the damage.
It was
And
so
that's the frustrating one.
close. But the Heart Zapper just gave Skim Panzer barely enough health to get away with that. And that was, I have to commend the effort, because that very much almost worked. But just a fine line being walked. Skim Panzer living and managing to flash away with just 1 HP and surviving underneath that tower. And that's incredibly good, by the way. That's so unbelievably good. The Mundo has now got a kill, which relieves a lot of the pressure that you have in this early laning phase. The CS lead is not there for Blidox either, which means that the Mundo is doing a fantastic job at surviving through the lane. TP still available, and another charm will land onto the Ahri herself. But yeah, that Mundo matchup going incredibly well. Up in gold is not what you want to see, but it seems Paradema is trying to change it. Goes in with the flag and drag. Maximum dosage has been popped. Blidox has got the World Ender. Should they choose to use it, goes in with the Umbral Dash. No flash available, but the Infernal Chains don't pull. And Blidox not using the World Ender for the movement speed means they won't be in range to find the kill. And Skim Panzer once again gets away with murder.
Skip Panzer is not allowed to live in this game. I think he should have died 2 times, but the maximum dosage move speed was just enough. Good side step also to get away there from the Darkened Blade. And I mean, he just the fact that he had on the back there was a bit too aggressive. Does use a TP now to get himself back to lane quickly, but I mean, he's just able to find himself without death here through complete miracles. Dragon now also secured by Frostbite, of course, with Demon showing up on this top side. It will be free. The evade does come through for the Jarvan though, so the Pantheon might be without farm a little bit, but I'm not sure there. It doesn't seem to be too much for him to take all of this. Will we see the Grog? You will see the Gromp coming back up. So we'll be able to steal away 2 camps. Pantheon doesn't look to go for a similar counter. Doesn't look to go for a counter invade. So some gold going back over to Quantum Enigma, who actually have a tiny gold lead now, even with the kill going over the other way, which is the CS lead being there, of course, in the top and the mid lane. Is going in their favor. Oh, that is the charm landing, the root landing, flash away. The Jinx might hit the reset as he will now start sprinting forward, flash over the traps, but will it be enough? No, it won't, and it is just a good handshake there by the Renata Glass. Well, the Pantheon wanted to use the ultimate to get towards the top side, but the power even was there as he is able to cancel it, and the Jinx gets the double kill in the bot lane, and that is just what happens. Bo just going a bit too aggressively, didn't have the ultimate yet. Blackwings did have his up, and as a result, it is just a double kill for the Jinx, and now 1k gold lead for Quantum Enigma. Plus these void cards going down as they are just in a good position.
Things going horribly around the map for Frostbite. Booker walks up, but Blackwings just ticks over to level 6, and the gang on the top lane doesn't work as well, as the ultimate's cancelled. But now a magical journey will bring 2 in, as the shield vault will land, and Skim Panzer will pick up another kill, which means this Mundo might be a little bit of a menace. Grubs have been started up by Poro Demon, but I'm a feeling they're going to find this one out very shortly as another Shield Vault's going
Yes.
to land, Cosmic Binding, and down goes Poro Demon.
The CC too clean for Frostbite there to make sure that Frostbite Demon can't go across the wall. Temper Fate doesn't actually get bounced back as now the charm. Oh no, Liz! He times it a bit too early, and he doesn't get the charm, and now Darling he just walks away. That is a frustrating play there, as right there Bo was just making absolutely the most of the roam for the Bard. 2 kills already, looked to go for a third, but Liz didn't get the timing down quite right, and as a result, the Mel just walks away, but still a great roam here by the Bard, making sure that not all Void Grubs get picked up. Plus 2 kills, and the Jin didn't even lose that much forward. So at the end, Bo, beautiful roam there, good cosmic bindings. As now Frostbite have the gold lead once again. As if we quickly look at the way the gold is separated, of course, this Jinx about 600, 700 gold ahead in the bot lane, but the Mundo having a similar gold lead in this top side with, and at the end the final goal date really being put in this jungle matchup with Herald and of course having picked up that single kill that pretty much sets him slightly over Demon here.
Yeah, I think this is why I like the Bard. The roaming potential, especially with the Pantheon and the Ari, very good at finding picks. And that pick in the mid lane didn't quite work out, but that was certainly not the Bard's fault. And they managed to find another kill onto the Mundo, getting him even further ahead. And there might just eventually be a point where this Mundo cannot be dealt with by this Aatrox, as currently Skin Pants are still getting chunked out a good bit, but if they can grab a Warmogs, then all of that will not really matter, as you can't go too big in the all-in. Another mid-gank potentially there, but the perfectly timed rebuttal. In comes the Grand Starfall, which will force out the flash of Ari Darling, but Harold's still going under the tower. Shields vault. The Golden Eclipse, though, will trade one back, and Poro Demon comes in to trade the second. And a bit of an overextension from Frostbite mid-jungle will get them both in an early grave.
Yeah, this dive going wrong there for Frostbite, and it is just, I will see the rockets. I don't want I think once the flash had been used, they should have just gone back, as now we do have the Jin in trouble in this lane. This dive much cleaner as Blickwings secures the kill. And yeah, that is just a direct calls. This is directly caused by the bot going towards the mid lane. As right now he just wasn't there to help, and yeah, it's just Frostbite. They just went a bit too deep. I think once the flash had been used, they should have just called it, said, "Well, this is what we wanted," but they wanted to try and find the pick, and I think it was a bit tough for Liz to get the damage done as the wave had just spawned. So perhaps some of his damage went into the wave, and it is quite frustrating. So yeah, Frostbite slightly overextending there, losing their bot laner a second later as well will mean that Quantum Enigma once again taking this taking the gold lead. Skin Pants will finally be. I feel like he's just been extending his stay in this top lane as long as he possibly can each time round. As of course Splitix is sort of continuously pushing in. As we might have another fight in this bot lane. Jarvan flagging and dragging forward, but won't actually land the knockup. And does have the Cataclysm up, but didn't actually use it. Of course, with the Magical Journey, the Bard is one of the toughest members to jump upon. One thing I also thought about just a second ago is the fact that if ever the Cataclysm lands, if Bo just throws down the Stampede Fate on top of everyone, the Cataclysm might just time out before or at least it gives them a long way through the Cataclysm. As now we do have the Temper Fate being dodged in the bot lane. Cleanse also being used from the stun as now also takeover doesn't land onto anyone. Still flash, drag, flag forward. Magical Journey through the wall still as Liz is also there, but actually if no one really goes through the Magical Journey before in this bot lane. Dragon is up. Liz looking for the charm, but the Meld is there, so it's a bit tough to land, and as it will just be bounced back into his face. Still the Deadly Flourish lands from the Jin. Frostbite looking for something of a fight. Guts and Cole will be used as the shots come out, but there's a lot of health on Quantum Enigma still, as now it is the Golden Eclipse being used. Frostbite slowly being poked down. That is the pick. As now Frostbite, they want to try to do something, but with the reset there, it is very tough. The Magical Journey through the wall will mean that the other two members are able to get away safely, but still Quantum Enigma, they just slowly win out the fight, and with the reset, Frostbite can't do much back.
Yeah, certainly. In the end, Quantum Enigma, they just win it. And Frostbite, they have drafted the composition that is meant for looking for picks, not team fighting. So it's no surprise that Quantum Enigma was better at team fighting, as Blidox just getting so aggressive on this Aatrox, going even further under the tower. And I don't think the Warmog's threshold is there yet, so I don't know if Skimpanzer is going to be able to find the healing, but a flash from Black Smelio, forced out in the bot lane as a flash forward is matched by Harold to try and find the shield vault, but the bailout is still available, and Blackwings is putting so much damage down, he's going to be able to find the kill and the reset, and now Josh is in a 1v1 against an excited Jinx. In the top lane though, it's Booker here who has made their way up to try and find a kill, and it will go over to Skimpanzer. Josh barely managing to get away with his life as the flash burnt out of both of the ADCs will mean Josh is completely safe. And it's a 1-for-1 in the end as the Bard secures the kill in the top lane as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think this entire game has been Harold going a bit too aggressive. I think he's just been flashing fuss in plays that just he just can't quite finish off. He just doesn't have the damage right now to one-shot some of these members, and then every time he flashes forward, it feels like the other member is just too far away. So now we do have the Tempered Phase being used in this mid lane still. Oh god, and Eclipse blows up the Ahri as Liz just disappears. And Bo, he tries to do everything he can, but is just a bit too strong. And right now, Frostbite, they're just the two members, they do not want to get fed. On the other side, have 4 and 5 kills. It's just the Jinx and the Mel are so incredibly strong. And yeah, it's just right now, Liz and Harold, they can't do much in so many of these fights. They just go try to go aggressive, but they don't have the damage to deal with it for now. And the consistent damage is simply on the other side. As now they try to defend this third from the Jinx, will be able to clear the wave in time, as we also have Josh moving over stun lands, but Deadly Force misses. Hostile takeover being used as my screen freezes, as now the Gun Call can't actually land onto this Jinx, and once again the Jinx is able to get away. Now Frostbite kind of moving forward into 4 members. Skimpanzer though does have a lot of health, but will also just kite away, as you will see the rest of his team can't really join with too little health on Bo and Harold.
Yep, and once again, it's not going to result in too much. However, look at this top matchup. Blidox is just getting chunked out heavily by Skimpanzer and not even finding too much in response. The damage wouldn't matter because of the Warmogs, but this is kind of the point where the Mundo becomes a little bit of a problem. And, well, up until now is where you're supposed to be grabbing your advantage, but it's 3 kills for the Mundo and none for the Aatrox, as Golden Eclipse does a lot of damage, but it's not enough to find the kill. And yet again, both of these teams trying to just get control over the map. The Herald will go down in favor of Quantum Enigma, as Frostbite really can't fight with their composition in the position that they are. But maybe they're looking for something, as a Cosmic Binding will land onto Poro Demon, but they will be bailed out. They're going in with a Flag and Drag, but the Tempered Fate will mean that they're the only one who can contribute to this fight for now, as the TP comes in, Cataclysm lands over the top, but in comes Harold with a Grand Starfall. Josh putting down the damage. The Renata has already used the bailout, and the shutdown will go over to Josh, and now there's a Blidox in the middle of 5 members. Can they find the kill? They can't even find Harold. Double kill for Josh, and it turns out Frostbite can, in fact, team fight, as Ari Darling in the bot lane makes it a 5v4. And the Deaths make it a 5v2 in favor of Frostbite, as now they're looking to even open up the mid lane tier 1.
Yeah, I've got to mention not the best members to do this, but I mean, they're right. Our Darling did not have a TP, Liz did have his, so it was just able to make it a 4v5, and as a result, we did see Hardy Darling just quickly taking the kill onto Bo, doing like a lot of damage there for himself, but yeah, it is just Frostbite. They had the meta advantage and they were able to use as without our Darling, the damage did seem to lack a bit. Blidox just isn't as strong as Poro Demon isn't either. So with only Blackwings dealing the damage, it is a bit scary, especially if you have Harold and Liz who can get on top of this Jinx so incredibly easily. So there we saw, if they didn't have this Mel being a bit of a roadblock for Liz, this is essentially what happens. So yeah, Quantum Enigma really seeing that they do need this Mel in team fights, because the Jinx alone wasn't able to do enough. And Frostbite do manage to get some of this gold back. It did actually get a mid tier 1, as now we do have the Spirituals being used as that is the critical being used as the deck up though comes through for the Jarvan. It might be a Kill still does also take over. Is dodged away from by almost all members. Hari does get hit at the end as now Velos, yeah, you kind of like and drag away, but you'll take down nonetheless. As we do have Josh trying to secure the kill. Actually, he uses the cleanse there. I'm not sure whether that was necessary. Maybe a bit of an overreaction. As in the meantime, we do have Harold fighting once again with the Mel, but the Mel does a lot of damage. If he wants to use the ultimate, doesn't actually end up using it. Dragon the third should be secured there as well as the Dragon for Frostbite is. The game goes a bit quiet again, but yeah, just another good pick there by Frostbite in the mid lane.
Make an effort trying to find the steal, but unfortunately, it's not T1 versus Genji. This is not Ruler on the Jinx. It's gonna go over to Frostbite, and a nice advantage, even though Ari Darling still insanely strong. Blackwing's also insanely strong. There's a good amount of gold split across the side of Frostbite. They managed to find the Drake, and we see when they fight with those numbers advantages, that's where Frostbite shine. And if they can ensure that one of Blackwings or Ari Darling isn't in a fight, they're going to have a fantastic time. And they really are the team that is better at moving those numbers about. They've got the Bard, they've got the Ari, they've got the Pantheon, and they have the Jhin who can provide that support from very far away. It's even with a gold lead for the side of Quantum Enigma, it's definitely not one for them, as Frostbite have so many opportunities in this game.
Yeah, it definitely. I mean, I think that is the way that Frostbite can win the game is by sort of just simply being there with all of their members and hoping that either Ari Darling or Bladox or just one of the members hasn't been able to quite make the movement. So right now, 1.5k gold lead at 20 minutes is not terrible for Frostbite. Gold behind is not terrible for Frostbite. At this point of the game, can be better. Of course, you would prefer the gold lead. And if we look at the items, we do see Jinx has 2 items and Mel has 2 items, whereas Liz and Josh haven't actually completed their second item yet. But lucky for them, there isn't really anything up just yet. So Frostbite can just kind of wait out these item spikes for their own members. So we actually might have a fight in this bot lane. Stun lands onto the Bard though, as now the charm does come down. Golden Eclipse can't finish him off as Liz finally gets the revenge he wants onto the mid laner. We do have the Herald being used here in the mid lane. Skimpanza, the one who has been sent to stop it. Liz also teleporting in as they do get the drift in this mid lane as they just try to do as much as possible. The Delta Gun actually won't be picked up as now the lockup Lens maximum dosage though does provide a lot of healing. Charm Lens as the third shot doesn't quite finish off the Jarvan. The Jinx secures the third
ultimate.
at the yeah, he does, but he doesn't seem to know where it is. Stampede Fate flashed away from by Blackwings. So that is just a really big flash. By the way, we do have Skimpanza now going forward. onto Blitz. We do have Partyman across the wall. This is possible to heal back a bit from the Gromp, but Skimpanza has a good amount of health. Doesn't that also take over left anymore, but still he wants to just go forward with Bo on the approach. Also Jhin very, very close. Flag and Rag misses for the Jarvan. In the meantime, it is exactly first landing onto one current and goal now being used onto Poro Demon. Josh securing the kill. He does have to meet with the Aatrox now. Flashes away from the Aatrox as he touches underneath him. Able to secure the kill, and Frostbite, they have a pick up and they're making the picks.
They certainly are. It looked a little bit rough as everyone kind of just stopped hitting the Aatrox. Aatrox got the 1 HP. Everyone said, okay, fine, now we focus Parademon, and the curtains were called in that direction. But Aatrox heals a good amount, especially when you're into the Mundo, so it was a little bit dicey. Josh had to blow the flash, but in the end, Frostbite, once again, like you mentioned, with the picks, evening up that gold, very, very even now. And if Frostbite can keep playing like this, I mean, they found a pick on the bot lane as well. Ari Darling went down, and that was a big injection of gold. And Siasti is now also incredibly strong. And with these members on Quantum Enigma up towards that top side and the mid side of the map, this Baron's gonna, this Atakan is gonna be started up by Frostbite, and Quantum Enigma not really in a position to contest. Skimpanza zoning away the AD carry and support from Quantum Enigma, as the TP is gonna come in from Vidox, but it might be too little too late. Flag and drag in from this Jarvan. He finds the Cataclysm onto Harold, but Harold will Q smite away the Atakan. Golden Eclipse finds one, and the second kill will go down thanks to the passive, but Skimpanzer's in the back. He's got a lot of healing. He's only level 15 though, so the maximum dosage isn't as big as it could be, but he will still find the kills. A triple as a third is found by Ari Darling though, and Skimpanzer has to try and run away from this one. So low is Josh, but he's just trying to run. Ari Darling, maybe not with the movement speed to try and catch up, so we'll have to back off in the end. As Frostbite will lose 3, but Quantum Enigma will lose 2 and the Atakan.
Yeah, I think the Atakan making it worth there for Frostbite. Just a messy fight there. Very, very close at the end. Frostbite managing to turn it around a little bit. Also losing 2. Did manage to take 2 for themselves, and Josh just getting away there barely. With 1 health left, I think just this simply another Herald is like would have finished him off there, but it was just able to make the play happen. As right now this dragon is up, Grand Starfall in. Herald just wants to start this right away as Skimpanzer is pushing away Bladox. As we do have to start is up, but it's very, very low. So if Herald wants, I think he could just wander underneath it and take it down. As Liz doesn't have the TP. Ari now actually moving in as Frostbite. They weren't able to quite burst down this dragon in the meantime. This is Bladox having taken quite a lot of damage. Curtain Call now being used, but there's a lot of health on the other side. As Frostbite, Josh, he just gets burst down. He just takes the damage. There's now a Temper Fate being used on the back lands onto 1, but now Frostbite in trouble. Dragon secured by Quantum Enigma. Blackwing still secured, bursted down in the middle of the fight. What can the Mel do now as the rest of the fight is going very, very messy? This in the back, Charm bounced back. Bloodex going forward, Bart jumping onto the Jarvan as the flag and drag can't go through it. In the meantime, it is the Mel still trying to get the damage down. Well, secure the kill onto the Dr. Mundo. At the end, it is just a 2-for-2 for now. Frostbite, they still look a bit excited, but at the end, it is Quantum Enigma who take the Drake. The shield there is everything for Herald as he now goes for the rebuttal. Gives them the damage resistance as it is Herald securing the kill onto Ari Darling. At the end, so Frostbite managed to take a 3-for-2, but the Dragon went over to Quantum Enigma as Frostbite able to walk away there. As the Super Mega Death Rocket by Blackwing secures the kill. He came back, he pressed one button, and he managed to fight one. As at the end, it is just still this game so incredibly close. The first game was close, and this time it's almost even closer. Third secured, but at the end, Quantum Enigma do come out on top in the fight.
Goodness. I was going to say that it was crucial for Frostbite that they managed to take out Black Wings before they could get the reset and start absolutely frying everybody on the Jinx. Harold jumped in, found the stun, found the kill, and that was what allowed Frostbite to not absolutely get destroyed in the fight. But Black Wings respawned and still found a way to contribute, sending that rocket cross map. And in the end, it's a 3-for-3. As Ari Darling went down, but then Harold went down in the end as well. Next objective on the map is the Baron, but I don't think either of these teams are confident enough to start it up yet. No significant gold advantage is here on one of these teams, but Skimpanzer level 16 is going to be truly menacing on this Mundo, especially because level 16, level 3 ult gives you so much in the way of buffs to your ultimate. You get not only just extra stats, but you also get, a completely different buff to your ultimate ability once you hit level 16. And 3 items on a Mundo, very, very, very scary.
Yeah, without a doubt. Ul is in trouble in the mid lane, blown up by Ari Darling. In the bush is the Mel, and yeah, that is just what a fat Mel can do. 1 item ahead of the Ari right there. No, Zonias was up for the Ari in the meantime. It is just Skimpanzer taking some damage in the bot lane, but if he ever gets word he can press R and get all of his health back in the meantime, it is Quantum Enigma starting up the Baron. Frostbite not really there. Tempered Fate does land on the 2 though, as we do have the Mel, one of the few ones out of it. Curtain Call being used, stun also, Lens teleports being used, Herald blows up. Burrow Demon as now the Hostile Takeover can't really come through fully. Still though, damage dealers for Quantum Enigma are alive. Frostbite now looking to go forward, but it's a reset going on onto Blackwing's flash forward from Herald, but he can't secure the kill. Still damage is there by for Skimpanzer. Flash forward to secure the kill onto Ari Darling. Now it is the Aatrox trying to do something, but he can't do enough teleport in from this as well to maybe secure the kill onto Blackwings at the end of this fight. Has the ultimate up, tries to chase it down, but it is Frostbite just winning out at the end. As just damage just so high, and at the end, there just was no one really tanking for Quantum Enigma, and the damage wasn't really there either.
I think maybe Quantum Enigma need a little bit of anti-heal. I'm going to say I think this Mundo is a little bit strong, as I have no idea what the hell that flash was. Maybe predicting that Black Wings was going to be in the bush. Okay, a little bit too far, but neither of the teams will get the Baron. Quantum Enigma lose 4 members, but Black Wings is alive, and that might just be a little bit too scary. We don't want to see another triple kill at the Baron. Black Wings also has the Super Mega Death Rocket, so has at least some pressure to be able to steal the Baron. So Frostbite are going to take their team fight win, and they're going to be okay with it. Siasti does flash over the wall to try and find the kill, but Black Wings, recalling in a different position, will be safe from it. Next objective for either of these teams is probably going to be this Drake. Both of these teams will be on soul point if they can find the next Drake, as the Baron might be a little bit too daunting for both of these teams to start right now.
Yeah, it's just a bit too risky, I think, to start the Baron now with how close these fights have been. And it's just what we saw, like, Quantum Enigma started the Baron, but in the 3v4, they still just kind of lost the fight because of the small sort of deficit the Baron gave there. As now they're jumping onto Blydox already. The Aatrox having to use the Whirlwind to try and get himself away. Will be able to move back there as in the meantime. This will be, I think it's a Renata, called out there, it's a Jarvan, actually, who is up to walk away. This Dragon is up both. Neither team actually has a soul point just yet. We do have Scampanza starting to walk forward, but he still takes a good bit of damage. Number 8 lands onto 2 though, as it is the 2 damage dealers. As now it is the Rebella being used, but Scampanza still secures the kill. Onto the Jinx, that's also the kill. Onto the Renata Glosk. The Mel's still alive, but Blydox will be blown up. As now the Mel trying to run away, but there's some very speedy members going after him. Still good to about road. Well, the Cliff secures one. At least as Ari Darling still on the run, but Bo is very, very quick as he tries to chase after the Mel. Still a root lands once again. The volley also goes down. Another good throw. The Mel is smurfing, but it's not enough as he still gets taken down. Ari Darling able to take 2 there, and the chase is massive. But still, it should be this Dragon being secured as
you would think Frostbite would have learned. You every single time they try and find the kill onto Ari Darling, this Mel always finds a way to trade it back. Every single time, whether that be thanks to a cross-map Jinx rocket or just the insane amount of burst coming out of this Mel, Ari Darling is not going down without a fight. Takes 2 down with them, but 3 is still enough for Frostbite to feel confident enough to start up this Baron. They have the numbers disadvantage at the moment. No TP available on either of those solo laners, which is crucial because it means that Lissiasti can't get back into the fight. Jarvan waiting over the wall to try and steal it as the team fight is numbers advantage for Quantum Enigma. This Ari is not here just yet. In goes the flag and Dragon will be stolen away by Poro Demon, who is immediately stunned up. Quantum Enigma don't want to commit to the fight. They don't know where the rest of Frostbite are. They will lose their jungler, but Baron on the remaining 4 on the side of Quantum Enigma is going to be a good trade. I think they probably could have ended up fighting it, but not confident enough. They will take the Baron and they will get themselves out. But Frostbite managing to get that one stolen away, especially with the Pantheon, is not going to feel very good. They're going to get some things in trade, though the top turret goes down, but the Solar Snare lands. The Radiant Volley does so much damage. Golden Eclipse, and that's a dead bard once again for the second time to this Mel. Booker is just not having a good time. Too squishy on the bard, even with the wit's end. Ari Darling doesn't care.
The steals just don't stop. Yet another one coming through. It seems like more. I believe right now more Barons have been stolen away than have actually been secured by the team that are doing them. As Quantum Enigma, I think not making the same inaccuracy. That Frostbite made last game, just deciding that we have the Baron. Let's just run away. Have a Baron on as many members as possible and get the fight later instead of what Frostbite did last time, which is try to go for the fight. So I think good decision making there by Quantum Enigma. Still though, gold lead is in Frostbite's favor. So if Frostbite can kind of just wait out this Baron, they have a gold lead. Now, of course, it's a 700 gold gold lead. No, not 700k, 700 gold lead at 33 minutes. So at that point, it is pretty much a void. So yeah, right now game practically even. Dragon advantage is for Frostbite. So So if they are able to wait out this Baron and get to the next Drake, then Frostbite are looking very excited. Now, of course, it doesn't matter as much, but the Bard still nicely stacking up with those Shines will just grow in strength just a little bit, minute after minute. But yeah, right now, every fight is on a nice edge. Impossible to predict how they are going to end up. So yeah, time will tell this. Right now, Quantum not being able to do the most with this Baron just yet.
Yeah, not. They really aren't able to push up and get anything. Frostbite still holding their ground. They find some good kills. Ari Darling finds a trade back, but Quantum Enigma, they've still got the Baron, and they're still able to push out. But I think Frostbite are looking very good. They've got the range on Quantum Enigma, and unless they're all grouping, Frostbite are going to be able to find the numbers advantage to find the kills. You see Harold just waiting in this bush to try and catch somebody out. Control Ward is there to make sure they don't know, but the Zap will find out that Harold is being a little rat, hiding in the bush, will run away with the Empowered Aegis Assault. So now, both of these teams just contesting for the vision, contesting for the control, as the Baron falls off of the side of Quantum Enigma, and they don't really get anything off of it except for the golden XP that the takedown does provide. Now, Skimpanzer just walking around, zoning everyone off. We saw Blidox just forced to be respectful of this now 4 items Mundo with the completed Spirit Visage, meaning even more healing coming out of this big champion.
Yeah, and Jinx has picked up some anti-heal, but with how these fights have been going, Black Wings might not be actually able to get this down consistently onto the Mundo. So it will be interesting to see whether he actually can get it down, because of course the Jinx auto attacks is very, very simple, but he's just been kind of CC'd and bursted down very, very consistently in these fights. So we will see whether you can actually get the anti-heal down, and whether even it will be enough as the Mundo just heals so insanely much. Now, Dragon still more than a minute away, but the vision just being consistent so aggressively by Frostbite. They just want to make sure that Quantum Enigma don't get the vision in this river. They want to keep the shroud as long as possible, because if Quantum Enigma needs to look at them, something like this happens as Borrow Demon taking all the damage in the bush, now jumping forward onto the Jinx as he has the cleanse flashing away. Already being used now. Temper Fate also going down as Frostbite. They want to go for the fight. The Renata called out. Black Wings the first one to fall. One more kill going down. The Mel is not there. Frostbite is there though, as it's a 4-0. And Frostbite, they just blow up the entire team for Quantum Enigma. They find the pick. They were able to use the darkness so incredibly well. And now Dragon will be up, but the rest of Frostbite are looking to push as much in this mid lane as possible. Of course, Darling has a good amount of damage, has a good amount of wave clear. But for now, Frostbite just win the fight, will get the soul, and Quantum Enigma is going to have a tough task.
They almost make the same mistake again. Siasti just 1 HP away from dying to that Mel ultimate. But in the end, once again in that fight, it's Harold finding Blackwings, forcing out the flash, forcing out the cleanse, and the follow-up from the Tempered Fate means the Blackwings can't do anything in the fight. Parademon gets charmed up immediately. Blitz is just too weak, only on 2 items compared to 5 now for Skimpanzer. And overall, Quantum Enigma just can't fight. I mean, their most valuable, most important, biggest damage member, Ari Darling, not there in the fight, means that it's almost a guaranteed win for Frostbite. Infernal Soul now picked up by Harold as the rest of the team push in. They get the inhibitor, they open up the base of Quantum Enigma, and Frostbite have now turned that 700 gold lead into almost a 4K gold lead, and it's still growing.
Yeah, I mean, still, gold lead at this stage in the game, it doesn't really matter much. Now, what matters, like, at this point is mostly just look at the items, and Bloodaxe has 2 items. Skimpanzer has 5. So this top lane is so such a gigantic gap in it that it is just so incredibly visible. And right now it is both kind of just trading in this jungle, who actually gets pulled back out of his magical journey, but won't be put out as a result. But yeah, overall, if we then look further into items, Gen 4 items, Jinx 4 items, Mel still ahead of this Ari being about an item ahead. It's started again! It's started again! As Liz is able to secure the kill, but poor Demon steals a second Baron. in this game. Still Frostbite going for Spelios gets the kill onto Bo, but still Frostbite look for the play. Golden Eclipse doesn't find anyone, but Frostbite does fall quite low. Still though, the damage is there as Frostbite are able to find the fight. Mel's trying to get away from the angry Mundo, but Liz is also there. The no! And the guy just makes the play. The question is, will it be enough? As there's a fourth shot of a Jin walking forward toward him. Frostbite looking for the end. It's only the Mel who tried to do everything this game, but he can't do enough. Another rebuttal gets used, but this time it won't turn a fight. And Frostbite, they weren't able to secure a Baron. They weren't able to kill the Mel, but they will be able to secure the game.
It was a bait. It was a bait. They baited Pyrodemon into stealing it. They kill Pyrodemon instantly and just walk it down and end the game. Frostbite 2-0. And Ari Darling tried so hard, but just was not able to do enough in that game to drag Quantum Enigma over the finish line. Frostbite Mayhem, take it.
Yeah, just another crazy game. Frostbite 2-0 doesn't seem to do full justice to the series. We will be going, though, toward a bit of a break, see whether Frostbite can close it out in 3 games, or whether Quantum Enigma can have a strong counter punch. So don't go anywhere, as we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on
are back for a game 3 Frostbite Mayhem versus Quantum Enigma Genesis. It has been an enthralling series so far. Two close games. Frostbite managing to barely squeak out ahead both times. As we are going through the third game, Thrio once again joins me as we are getting right into.
Absolutely. And this potentially the last game of the series if Frostbite managed to sweep with a 3-0. But Quantum Enigma probably going to be hoping that this doesn't happen, as perhaps we have no ban coming through from Quantum Enigma Genesis. I'm not sure if that's a mistake or not. Appears to be the allow it again. Going to be banned away from Frostbite Mayhem. So seems like we're going to have very similar bans as the last time. But Quantum Enigma might have to change something up if they don't want to get swept in a 3-0 fashion, and they do want to get their first game win of the series.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that they deserve at least one game with how they've been playing. They've just been playing quite well. They're keeping it close, but Frostbite just a bit cleaner in the later stages, it seems. So yeah, we'll see whether Quantum Enigma can have a very strong game this time around. Bans stay very similar, with once again a smaller Twitch and Syndra being taken off the board. The victor will be the final ban once again, for Quantum Enigma. So we have a very similar setup, but of course another 10 champion have been taken off the board as we have instantly the MF being locked in. So Frostbite wants to go for more teamfight heavy play this time around. Big, massive bullet time coming through, for Josh.
It's the opposite of the last time.
MF.
Lucianami
Yes, this time
back
we
by
hint.
Quantum Enigma.
Yeah, instantly
Sorry,
indeed the Lucianami coming in. Yeah, no problem. Instantly the Lucianami coming in as a response. Strong early game. Of course, the MF itself has a fairly solid early game as well with those love taps. It can just do a lot of damage. The role picked up is, I think, a bit of a Bo classic. Has been played a lot once back when he was on Frostbite Gladiators, and this MF Rel was a bit of a specialty at the time, and yeah, something we saw a lot. He's very proficient on it. If he can get these big ultimates, it'll be interesting. But like you said already, Frostbite now drafting more teamfight heavy, Quantum Enigma drafting more big heavy, as the Vi will be coming in a bit more of a pick now also, as that is the Diana coming in. So Quantum Enigma pulling out some interesting picks, but already picking up a lot of burst.
There's a lot of wombo combo here from both of these sides, right? You've got the Rel can go in with a big engage, crash down Magnet Storm, followed up with a bullet time. And you've got something similar with the Diana, with the Moonfall. And the Nami obviously having that tidal wave to follow it up. So there's a lot of terrifying things to be looking out from both of these teams. We see an Akali ban for Quantum Enigma Genesis.
Yeah, perhaps just hoping to, turn down the dive for Frostbite a little bit. Of course, not Ari, an Akali plus if I can be quite scary because of course the Akali can just execute so incredibly easily onto the season assist. So it makes sense. The Oriana being taken away, I think, also a smart man. As if you have an Oriana ball on top of the Diana, once the Diana lands the moonfall into the shockwave, it is just your team completely disappearing in a matter of seconds. So good by the way here for Frostbite. As the Ambassa taken off the board once again, Quantum Enigma clearly don't want to play against this pick. With now Frostbite waiting for the final ban. The thing is, I'm a person, I've been quite vocal about not loving the Lucian pick in a lot of situations. I think it's okay with the Nami, but I feel if Frostbite can sort of can chill a little bit more in the early game, make sure they don't get caught out too much, then after a while, the Lucian can just fall off so incredibly hard. The moment there's any type of tanks on the other side, it feels like the culling never is really able to land onto the right target and doesn't do anything against those strong tanks. So we'll see how well Quantum Enigma are able to play around it and whether they can actually use its early game strength to change the outcome of the game. But otherwise, I always feel like Lucian falls off toward the mid to late game. Although it might be okay in this game trying to pick up some low members from the Diana combo. Or it will be picked up to make sure that Quantum Enigma has a bit more team fighting prowess. Was stacked with the tidal wave plus the moonfall can already show quite a nice wombo combo for Quantum Enigma. As it was just a solid blind pick.
Yeah, Ornn, solid, strong top laner, is very good blind. As we're going to see that Aurelion Sol locked in for Mayhem, and they're going to have to counter pick now in the top lane. And Quantum Enigma will be able to counter pick with what I imagine is going to be the mid. I doubt they would first pick the Ornn if that was going to be a Diana mid lane. So it's most likely of Diana jungle, and they're going to pair it up now with the mid laner, which probably makes sense to be something that synergizes with the Diana. It would be really cool if we could see like a Yasuo or something similar. But it's going to be the Ornn countered out by the Gnar, and we're going to have Alessandra mid for Quantum Enigma. So probably going to try and look to roam down and put a lot of pressure on perhaps his bot lane and get this Lucian ahead.
Yeah, just maybe a bit more pick. Now, Quantum Enigma, their damage feels like it is a little lacking. Lissandra, not the highest damage mid laner. Diana can do good damage, but if she doesn't hit several members with the ultimate, the damage can also be a bit lackluster. And Lucian also not really the highest damage threat for them. So toward the mid to late game, the Gnar, the Vi, and the Rel might be so incredibly tough for them to take down in this game. When Frostbite, very, very strong team fight. The Gnar, the Aurelion Sol, the Rel, the EMF, just four picks with big AoE ultimates that do a lot of damage. So we have a team fight versus team fight game here. But I think Quantum Enigma, there's a good chance that toward the late game, they're simply gonna run out of damage.
Yeah, I really like the draft on Frostbite Mayhem more than the side of Quantum Enigma. As like you mentioned, I don't think there's a lot of damage here, right? The Ornn tank, very utility focused. Same thing with the Lissandra and Nami. They don't really do a lot of damage. The Lucian, if you don't get him ahead, he can fall off in the Diana jungle. Well, it depends on the build, right? But oftentimes, for the most part, you see the sort of bruisery build with like Leandri's Riftmaker, Unending Despair. And that's not going to give you a lot of damage if you're going to be going towards that build. So you kind of have to pivot into a more AP focused, full AP kind of build if you want that damage, which isn't really going to be provided by your teammates. But I think Frostbite have a good amount of damage from all the way across the board. They've got some good dive and a good setup for that bullet time. So I think overall, I much prefer the draft from Mayhem.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I think Quantum Enigma. I think they have some. The thing is that they have some picks I quite like. I like the Lissandra. I think the Diana is fun. I think the Oriana, the Oriana and the Ornn are three really good picks. But the problem is that they don't really have an ADC that nicely works with it. Because I think had they had the Jinx or the Kog'Maw here, it would have been a fairly nice comp. I think. But this time around, I think that the Lucian just doesn't execute as well on the setup. I think that there's just a point in the game where the Lucian isn't able to have the impact in the fights anymore in a similar fashion that you might want out of it. So it's just a really, really rough game, I think, for Quantum Enigma if they really are going to run with this comp. So yeah, it's of course never say never is and league is very unpredictable, but I think Frostbite they just have such a solid comp with just good team fighting, a good amount of damage, good scaling, good some solid early game, good ganks, and just the fight overall is a very very, very strong pick. So yeah, I think right now Frostbite just looking very very good.
Yeah, Quantum Enigma seem to have like some of the makings of a Protect the President comp or something similar. They don't really have a president. The Lucian is not a hyper carry, is not the Kog'Maw, the Jinx, like you mentioned. There are, some picks open that I feel like would be more suited to a composition like this, maybe like an Aphelios or something along those lines. Whereas the Lucian just, like, even if you get him ahead, he is still not going to be like absolutely dominant in a team fight. And I think he's very reliant on his teammates, but they don't have much damage, which is a point that has been reiterated, but I think it is a very, very important point. And I think this well, the Lissandra in the mid lane to counter the Aurelion Sol, you can't really put a lot of pressure onto him early game as Lissandra, right? You don't have a lot of damage without your jungler there, and you kind of need that Diana to do some damage, and the Aurelion Sol can kind of just scale for free into this Lissandra. He's going to have a good time, and once it comes late game, I don't see a way for Quantum Enigma to find a win a team fight when they have multiple carries on Mayhem they have to dive on and try and disable. With they've got the Diana that can dive in, but that's really it. And I don't think they can take down this Misfortune and this Aurelion Sol.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, if they the thing is with the Diana is that if they can find the angle onto this MF in the backline, then they can blow it up, I think. But it's going to be tough. Now, the one thing that Quantum Enigma does have going for them is that that they have so many ways to cancel this MF build. Because if they ever see the MF build coming in any way, they can throw down a tidal wave, or throw down a Call of the Force God, or the Diana can jump on top of it, or the Lysandra can get her stun. So they do have a lot of ways to sort of disable this MF. The problem is that if they disable this MF, there's still an Aetzel that's going to be hitting you really hard, and there's a Gnar that will likely be jumping onto your backline, plus maybe a Vi. So I think Quantum Enigma, they have a good amount of sort of tools to absorb the pressure, but they just at the end, I think, struggle with taking the members down. So yeah, it would just be a. I mean, we'll just have to see whether it's going to come through or whether at the end it will just be solid. So we'll see. As yeah. Now, perhaps also we can quickly, while waiting for the game, look back at the previous game, as of course jumping right into drafts and getting some time after it. What were your main takeaways from last game?
I think last game, Frostbite just did a good job from beginning to end. I think it wasn't as dicey as the first game. Of course, the Mel did get incredibly strong, but Frostbite always found ways of navigating around that inside of the team fights. There were always members of Quantum Enigma isolated off to the side that Frostbite always managed to pounce on very quickly before there was enough follow-up damage from the really strong members of the Jinx and the Mel. So I think Frostbite played their composition really well, and I think they also drafted a better composition overall, which same thing could be said for this game. I think throughout the series, Frostbite have just had an incredibly strong grasp on the draft. They've always been on the same page and playing out the drafts the way that they should be played. I think Frostbite have just drafted incredibly well as played very well throughout the series.
Yeah, no, I think I actually agree. I think also the one problem last game was just the fact that after a while they like the Jinx and the Mel couldn't deal with the Mundo, and the Scapezo was pretty much always just there. So he was either the Jinx or the Mel were just a bit too far forward, and they were being one-shotted by the Pantheon, or there was just a Mundo in between them and the rest of the team, and they couldn't really get the damage down. And as a result, I think the Mel was able to burst maybe one or two people, but after that, he couldn't really get consistently the damage down and follow up on those cataclysms, which just meant that Frostbite was able to win the team fights because the big damage wasn't really able to come through. As we are in game, and Frostbite once again going for something of an invite. This time they are on the top side, hugging this wall nicely, crash down onto the Ornn. Flash is there, but he can't quite use them. This time round, we do see the early first blood Frostbites. They're feeding themselves after the first two games and will be continuing their hot streak as they just take down Blydox before the game even begins.
Off to an incredibly rough start for Quantum Enigma. The Ornn goes down for first blood, but the kill is over to the Aurelion Sol, which is going to be so annoying. 300 gold already picked up that Sapphire Crystal for the extra mana in the lane. And this guy is definitely a good roaming champion, if he can take that advantage elsewhere as maybe another pick, this time only a little bit of damage will find Ari Darling. But yeah, you don't want to see a 1-0 Aurelion Sol 1 minute into your game, especially when part of your game plan is, this guy can't get too fed. We can't allow Josh and Lysiasti to both be a thorn in our side in this game. So one of those members has already picked up a kill.
Yeah, that's just that is a rough start for Quantum. Enigma, so now with the level 2, the Aurelion Soul going forward onto Ari Darling. Now, this will be doing some damage back at least, but still, it's just the Aurelion Soul now having a good start can just get towards his Rod of Ages a little bit quicker and starts stacking it up. So just a very, very nice start as in the bot lane. Both sides hit level 2. The Lucian Nami hasn't been able to do too much, of course. I think the level 2, level 3, that is really when they hit their stride. So we might need to wait a little bit, but just the early poke from this MMF can be so obnoxious to do with just those single autos that hurt so incredibly much. As there will be some healing back from the Nami, but yeah, it is a bit tough as Frostbite just have a good start and now just wait a little bit.
Yeah, the main thing about this bot lane is it's the range support versus the melee support. Both Misfortune Lucian, very strong in the early phases of the game. They can both do a lot of damage, early levels, but the range support is obviously going to be better at poking out the enemy's bot lane than the melee support for Booker here with this rel. So if Quantum Enigma can space properly, they should be able to win some good trades in the bot lane. But, a good engage as maybe some fighting in the top lane. I don't think Skimpanzer has the hop, just manages to get out actually. But maybe a gank here in the bot lane. Or just trying to contest the Scuttle Crab. But yeah, I mean, Josh and Booker completely full HP, doing an incredibly good job at withstanding the double range lane. And they're just going to be able to survive through this quite nicely.
Yes. Right now, the Vi has already actually it was Diana who took the bot scuttle. It will be the fight. Top. It's a nice hop over there. Vi closing in as well. Skimpanza looking for the fight. Flash wall breaker in, and that is just the kill secured. Bloodox taken down for a second time this game by the Vi this time around, and just a clean gank there. Bloodox stopping up a bit too far. Did have the flash, but once again just wasn't really able to use it.
Yeah. I mean, more proactive plays from the side of Frostbite, just taking advantage of this Ornn playing up a little bit too far. They managed to find another kill, this time over to the side of Harold, which is, it's put Frostbite at 2-0. And this time, Quantum Enigma, they don't have the farm leads to even out that gold lead. And now, with Harold having a kill, Siasti having a kill, they can kind of just push that advantage in any lane that they want. They could rotate towards this bot lane, as we see Booker trying to look for the engage. Doesn't find a lot of damage. The Aqua Prison lands on the Josh. Josh cleanses away. Black Wings is going in. Crash down over the wall from Booker will get him to safety. Flash is forced out of Josh, though. No summoners, but in goes the Astral Flight. Breath of Life is ticking, and Ari Darling will go down. The turret shot will trade it back. But a few minions will be denied from Ari Darling here in the mid lane.
Yeah, just a cheeky pick up there by List. Going a bit too far, but it will be 1-for-1 at the end. In the bot lane, though, it is Josh and Bo getting very, very low. Just Black Wings and Smelio, of course. Early game strength with the Nami Lucian is just so incredible, and it allows them to win an early game fight. Now it's 12 CS lead, 14 CS lead even. On this bot lane will mean that Quantum Enigma have a small advantage here for themselves. Of course, once the Aurelion Soul comes into play, it will be equalized out. But yeah, just a good start making the most of this Nami Lucian. Oh, yeah, now call the first code also being called out. Skimpanza, can he touch away? Flash used, at the end, as Bloodox almost finds a place, we didn't actually get to see most of it, but I do think he walked on the turret a little bit, as he has very, very little health left. But Skimpanza does have the TP, although Bloodox won't actually stick around, allowing Skimpanza to pick up a little bit of the wave that was left.
That was so close. Yet again, Skimpanza just barely getting away, as now there's a 3-man collapse onto the bot lane. Flash forward, Shattering Strike crash down, and it will force the flash out of Black Wings, who has to try and use the Relentless Pursuit. But level 5 on both of these bot laners, as the Shattering Strike is going to come back up very shortly. Harold's not going to find anything, as in goes Ari Darling, but here comes the falling star. Siasti is going to enter the Astral Flight, and the Breath of Life will get the reset. So Ari Darling's forced to flash away. In comes Harold with the Vault Breaker, and over the wall goes Poro Demon, but they don't have enough damage. Just a recurve bow on this Diana is all I believe they had at the time. And that's another kill on this 3-1 Aurelion Sol, and Harold is going to be the one to pick up the Drake.
Yeah, it's just a close interaction once again. Now Darling getting away with a little bit of health. So does Liz, and at the end, Poor Demon just can't quite secure the kill there onto the Aurelion Soul. Flashes across the wall, but the breath was just too much for the Diana to deal with. So yeah, just a good play there. As on the upside, we see a bit more scrapping. As it is now the culling up though, so Frostbite might be in trouble. Culling thrown down onto Josh. Nice sidestep though, but still a lot of damage going down. Bullet sign will be used, but they just nicely walk out of it. As now that is one kill going over. Second kill, and the Lucian managing to open up Black Wings. He has a bit more to play with in the early game this time, and he is using it as he manages to claim the double kill there. And Frostbite just go a bit too aggressive.
Oh, that's what Quantum Enigma needed. They needed this Lucian ahead. Gold lead now completely gone for Frostbite as a double kill, and Black Wings stays up in gold, but a cease and desist will find Poro Demon, who tries to get away by jumping to Harold. But there's another Vault Breaker that's come up. Moonfall used, but it just doesn't have any damage. The CC is not long enough, and Harold will find a kill as Skimpanza just chases. Blidox gets even more damage. Grubs also up, and they're going to be started up by Frostbite. No Poro Demon means Harold's probably going to grab all 3 of these.
Yeah, it will be a nice start there for Frostbite. Dragon actually did get secured by Frostbite at the end as well, so just the jungle camp game really on the Frostbite side this time. Kills as well, as where we saw quite slow early games in the first 2 games. This time it is just so quick, as right now we do have a bit more of a fight in this bot line. Once again, crash down this time lands. Magnus Storm also thrown down, but the damage is there for Quantum Enigma as the healing also comes through. Black Wings did have to use his barrier. Flash away now from the Nami, but the stun still lands. Can the auto attack do enough? Now the double up doesn't quite finish off the Nami, and
Smelio just has too much healing. Way too much healing. And Josh and Booker cannot cut through it. Booker didn't use the Ignite. I'm not sure if it just came up, but the healing is so big. Black Wings, look at that health bar. Look at the Lucian. That guy was 1 HP away from dying. I don't even know. Did he get the honey fruit? I have no idea, but the bot lane of Frostbite. You appear to be back. Welcome back.
Okay, I think I fell away there in the middle because my screen froze and I didn't hear anything, so I believe I just dropped away in the middle of this fight. But
it was luckily right at the very end.
Okay, good. As already have another fight going down in this bot side. The Ignite can't quite take the Lucian down. Oh, it's Frostbite. They are starting to find the play even after they died. They're starting to fight these fights in the bot side. As Black Wings almost fall there, but Josh can't quite secure the kill this time round, and as the Aurelion Soul once again just kind of stands there and breathes onto the Sunrise. Now we do have the Gnar in trouble. Goes Mega, gets knocked up, gets hit by the Moonfall, tries to walk away, doesn't have the flash though, does have the ultimate to try and shove the Diana away. He is actually just able to walk away. Blithers doesn't actually want to commit his own flash for the play, so at the end it is Skimpanza just able to just stroll away there. The damage not enough from the Diana just yet, as he just didn't quite get the damage down. Yeah.
the Orn pillar was the opposite of useful. The Gnar into the Orn pillar meant that the stun from the ultimate, because it's a wall, it procced the stun when Skim Panzer knocked Parademon into the pillar, which ended up meaning that Parademon couldn't even follow up on the play as they were stunned by that ultimate.
Yeah, just good play by them. As we do have another fight continuing in this top side, but I mean, at this point, it's just that a moment in the top side where both top laners are so tanky that there's a very, very small likelihood that either of them will actually fall. As we do have the Lucian in this mid lane, though. The Sunra also jumping forward. Falling Star comes down, but so does the Dragon. As just a good roam there. Black Wings wasn't spotted out earlier. Shutdown goes down to the Lucian as well. Now Season Sisto does go down onto the Lucian, but not quite there yet. Third wave goes through as flash away from the Vi. No hits with the Shattering Strike, as we do have the Magna Storm being used, but first the Frostbite can't really follow up, as now it is the Bullet Time being used, but it's the Diana right on top of the MF, as it's just the Vi left, and Harold can't chase down anyone, and Quantum Enigma just find the fight. Is Frostbite just going a bit too aggressive, a bit too mixed in their play, and it ends up costing them 3 kills plus the Dragon.
Oh my god, Frostbite just not on the same page. Harold goes in, no, everyone's running out. Then Booker goes in, and Harold's turning around to run out. And then Josh turns around, pops the bullet time, but it's too late. Everyone else is already retreating, and then it gets interrupted by the Moonfall, and just no synergy in that play. Frostbite end up going down. It was a 4v3, but Harold wanted to fight it. The rest of the team not on the same page, but now they're maybe trying to look to answer it back with a pick on the top lane. Seems like Blidos is just going to be zoned away from some of these minions and has to flash away from the crash down, which is very beneficial for Skim Panzer in the top lane. Plus some additional turret plates, thanks to those 3 grubs, and a big wave is going to be denied by Blidux with no TP.
Yeah, it's just the realm making the most out of a bad situation there, I think. As now Frostbite will be down 1k gold. It is not the most, but this Lucian being 4-0-1 is very, very scary, because I said that Lucian falls off, but if he is 4-0-1, then that is still then it takes a long, long time for him to fall off. As just being ahead on the Lucian is a really nice situation, as you can just play so aggressively, deal so much damage with just all your abilities. So we'll see how much Black Wings can do with his advantages. We did also see him have quite a big advantage on the Jinx last time around, and he wasn't actually able to make the difference there. But yeah, it will be interesting to see. Of course, Frostbite with the Season Assist, they do have a really, really easy way of jumping on top of this Lucian, but with Ari darting there as well, it might be a bit tougher to actually get the clean execute down, as now the Sunray using the hand to get herself out of trouble. Yeah, we did have the Rel waiting across the wall. The Sunray was just safe, as we have another fight in this top side, Nor into the wall. But then I think the Ornn will just be a bit too tanky. All the attacks do come down, though, as the other attacks just almost are enough. Will finally finish off, as Kimpanza just gets the solo kill. It was a long fight, but at the end, Bloodox can't get away.
Another poor death for this Ornn. 0-3 again. In this game, it's only a 1-0-3 Skim Panzer, but last game it was also a 0-3 Blidox, as the wave's just going to be cleared out by the bullet time, but Parademon just diving under the tower. And it seems that Josh on the weak side will go down, so will the tower. And now that's a 5-0-1 Lucian. This guy remains snowballing. And Josh not looking too hot in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just right there. He is just getting weak-sided, and I think there are just some plays, because he's 0-3-1 now. But there are just so many plays where it is just very, very close, and it could have been a 2-3-1 as well several times, where Illusion was close to fall. So yeah, but it's a bit frustrating for the MF to have this early game. Also quite likes the advantage, and after all, the bullet time just doesn't nearly do as much. We do have the execute now in the mid lane flash away from the Diana, though. Actually, that's The Sandra still dash across the wall from the Vice. Stun lands though, so Frozen Tomb gets used. Cease and desist doesn't do enough. Call of the First got lands on the 2 as well, but the tidal wave evinces completely crashed down away from the Rel to save herself. But it's Harold Hammond just going a bit too aggressive as Black Wings just right where he was, where he needed to be to get across that wall. And right now, Frostbite needs to watch out a little bit, but with the Rel there, it is tough to do much, much more.
Yeah, that was a little bit too deep. After the Glacial Path had got Ari Darling to safety, they wanted to try and chase, but Blitux was around the corner with the Call of the Forge God. Didn't even get the assist, actually, but the Frozen Tomb just locked up Harold's, and they had to try and get out of it with cease and desist, which meant they had to go in even deeper, and Harold ends up going down in the end.
Yeah, I mean, that's just Harold looking for a play, but there was no vision on the Lucian, and he ended up being in the worst possible place there for the Vice. In the meantime, we do have the Nard chasing down the Ornn once again. Those hyper procs giving him a lot of move speed. The Lucian is able to show up though, but the Nard into the wall still secures the kill onto Bloodox. Now Frostbite looking for the play as well. Flash away from the Lucian at the end, leaves his support alone as Smelio falls. As still it is Frostbite chasing right here as it is the stun landing shot. Actually not even shut down onto the Lucian. It is just a double kill secured. As I expected that to be shut down there, but no, the 6-0 Lucian doesn't have shut down. And it is still though the kill going down. Frostbite getting 2 more kills is Acel getting just a bit more fed, and yeah, that is exactly what Frostbite needs to do, managing to get some gold. Dragon will be pinged and will be picked up soon.
It certainly will. And now Frostbite with the gold lead once again. Herald in the mid lane. And that's going to secure them priority before this dragon gets taken. And Porodemon's going in, but just straight into the breath of light. And that means no jungler for Quantum Enigma. It's slightly falling apart here in this mid game. Second Drake for Frostbite is about to be secured. Herald takes down the mid turret, and Porodemon just dies.
Yeah. I mean, I think at that point there was no real way out, so he just had to touch. Instead, did have the flash, I think. But yeah, I think he just didn't expect to be able to get out there. It was just too far extended. A bit of a mistake there by Porodemon. Dragon also secured for Frostbite. As yeah, they are able to just flip this game around once again. Now get a small gold lead. Illusion still very, very strong. Also picked up the Lord Doms very, very early on to try and amplify his damage onto these tanks as soon as possible. As we do just have the Acel trying to chase down the Lissandra. Falling Star now being used but dodged away from by the Frozen Tomb. Is the big one being dodged away from, still flash away from the Acel to try and get his flash. Also being burned by Ari Darling so he can secure the kill. And it is just the fight being won. Ari Darling using his abilities perfectly. They're dodging away from the ultimate. As now in the mid lane we have Harold Hammond. He locks down Smelio, who is able to secure the kill. As now we do have the Moonfall in the bot lane. 2 men are away. Will not do enough, I think. The stun does land, but the dash to follow is Task, and Panza doesn't have the TP. The rest of Frostbite though is here, but with also the Lucian there, it is a bit of a risky play to make.
Once again, Quantum Enigma striking back. They find kills. Siasti does a lot of damage though, but Ari Darling perfectly immuning themselves from the big brunt of it. And in the end, Quantum Enigma secure 2. But I also want to look at the Diana, because like I mentioned, they're so lacking in damage on the side of Quantum Enigma that this Diana is going for the Nash's Tooth first item into what I imagine is going to be the Riftmaker or the Liandries as a second item, which is going to mean you have a little bit less upfront burst damage, but maybe more sustained damage, but it's not the Bruisery build, which means you're going to be so much less tanky. You're going to be a lot squishier as the culling opens up on Siasti, who's dropping so low, but the Falling Star will stop Blackwings in their tracks.
Yeah, it's just it is rough as the Acel is able to survive, but hasn't been able to skill up quite far just yet. Zatkan is up, but neither team really wants to go for it right now, it seems. As Harold, he's looking, but he can't actually find much yet. As we do have, Lenar in trouble. Frozen Tomb secures the kill, and that is just Scampenza blown up there. And yeah, right now it doesn't really have the resistances to deal with it just yet, and the kill is just secured very, very quickly. Our darling using that Frozen Tomb because indeed, once there's only one member, that Frozen Tomb can do so insanely much as it just either stuns one person up or is just able to save them from a lot of damage. Oh no, it's Poor Demon wandering into the wrong bush, flashes back towards his team, will be able to survive. So Quantum Enigma, they just managed to fight some small picks, and as a result now have the goal lead on their side again.
Yet again, it's so back and forth, but Quantum Enigma, now the team with the goal lead. Frostbite, though, I think are quite heavily favored by the scaling, even despite the ornaments coming out from Blidux. I think in a late game team fight, Frostbite have the better composition, and they're also up in the Drakes. So I think Quantum Enigma need a little bit more of a lead before they can comfortably say that the game is in their hands. And Josh is hitting like a truck now, even though one item only for this misfortune. That bullet time is still going to do a lot of damage, as maybe a play looking for Frostbite, as in goes Booker with a nice engage, but Josh has to flash away 1 HP. Harold also incredibly low as a TP comes in from Skimpanzer, who is almost mega, but not quite. Booker trying to land a Shattering Strike onto this Diana off to the side, as a Nart into the wall will find Blidux, but he's very tanky. He's going to be able to flash away and be healed up by Smelio. In the end, Harold the only one who's going to end up falling. But Frostbite are looking for more. A flash forward, but not even a flash. Ari has to use the Frozen Tomb on himself, will go down, but Blackwings has made their way into the fight. The knockup will find Booker, and it's almost an ace for Quantum Enigma, as everyone on Frostbite except for Josh is down.
Yeah, it's just a messy fight, but without Josh there, they miss some damage. Liz doesn't quite have the stacks yet to burn through these members, and it's once again our darling using the ultimate in such an incredibly good way, able to just essentially got called out, but was able to do a lot of damage, slow a lot, and as a result gave the rest of his team time to jump in as well. And with essentially the entirety of Frostbite quite low, Black Wings was just able to secure these picks easily. So yeah, it's just Quantum Enigma who, in such a scrappy fight, they just slowly come out ahead because their team comp is much better suited to this scrapping. Frostbite just wants to land these big team fight ultimates, but once they're down, Quantum Enigma just have a bit more sort of tools or yeah, I don't know, possibility for themselves. As right now, with this dragon up, both teams looking to contest. Ultimates are up on both sides, as it looks to be a good one. Although Athlon is also up. Dragon started up now by Quantum Enigma, looking to burst it down off the side. We do have the Orn, who has the golden first code up. Diana also perhaps looking for something, but on the flank, it is Bo. Dragon secured by Quantum Enigma as Fort goes to the Thunder, blows up Josh, but is blown up for himself as well. Still, though, Josh not able to join us. The Aesol is still alive, but in the back now, it's Lucian called out, taking a lot of damage, is able to stay alive for now. Actually, not the Lucian, it's Diana, but it is the one for now. It is actually this called out in the middle of the fight. Still, and Josh, not Josh, Skimpanza going for it. He can't get a kill though, as now Season Assist lands the kill onto the Nami, but the Lucian is still alive. Still knock up landing as it's Harold who manages to fight the fight. Knock up now goes down from the Orn, but the shields will be there for the Vi to save his own life. Can the Orn deal the damage, slowly burning down, but now the shields are there, and Frostbites win the fight. And it took them so long to take down the Lucian, but they finally managed to find the key target.
My God, Harold finding 4 kills. The blast shield is so insanely strong, and that fight looked so scrappy. Flashes burn everywhere, people just dying, as Josh trading at the beginning of the fight with, I believe it was Ari Darling, and then somehow Harold's just absolutely destroying everyone on Quantum Enigma. That fight means that the fight is won by Frostbite. And once again, they find themselves with a gold lead. If we had a graph for this game, it would be insane. Up, down, up, down, up, down. And Quantum Enigma secure their second Drake of the game. Neither of these teams made the move on the Atacant just yet. But this is an insane game right now we have on our hands.
Yeah, both teams just putting everything they can on the table. We had a banger game 1, a banger game 2, and they are giving us an amazing game 3 as well as right now. Gold lead once again very, very narrow. It's 0.4 K, but I mean at that point it's practically nothing at 26 minutes. Black Wings still had an item over Josh, who's just having a really rough game. I think just has been the key target for Quantum Enigma, has been blown up. As right there, you just saw how Darling we just jumped onto him, blew him up, and then well, he was able to die. He did die, but that is a 1-for-1 the Lissandra will take. So yeah, Josh having a rough game, but the rest of his team currently really managing to keep it going as both teams just kind of perhaps looking for a fight, just clearing these waves, doing their due diligence. But it is the Baron up, so if a pick is gained here, it is instantly a big objective. Now, with what we've seen from this game, it has been getting stolen a lot. So we'll see whether starting of the Baron will result in actually getting the Baron this time around. Although right now neither team actually goes towards it, as of course no pick has been gained, has been gotten. Teams kind of just looking to clear the waves, perhaps get the turrets, but mostly just make sure that they stall time until this next dragon.
Indeed, both of these teams very much want to find themselves on soul point, but also look at this. Diana has gone for the Bruiser build, so there's going to be a lot less damage, which is why Harold so strong, so able to do a lot in these fights, as you know, there's not very much damage to kind of shut him down. There's so much shielding coming out from the denting blows, the blast shield even means that Harold just doesn't really die to anyone except for Black Wings. So it's really, I mean, Black Wings was kind of preoccupied at the back of the fight. Skim Panzer ended up narrowing them into the wall, and Black Wings was able to live for quite a while thanks to that Nami. But Astral Flight going in, Siasti forces the flash, but the Starfall, Falling Star is there. Everyone on the map, and in goes Harold onto Black Wings, but he might be in a bit too deep as Josh tries to come over the corner. Bullet time, but he's just a bit out of range, and Harold goes in too deep.
Yeah, they just barely can't secure the kill. There are just too many members there to peel, and now Frostbite, one member down, will have to fight back. No Falling Star for Liz anymore as well, so it will just be rough. Bullet time also used, so Frostbite might just have to back away here, as it could be going the other way very, very quickly. First Doom has been burnt as well, but it is a very, very short cooldown on that ability, as the Ascan being the objective of choice right now. Perhaps Frostbite waiting out those cooldowns, almost half gone down already though, but Frost Doom is also up. Once again, Quantum Enigma looking for something. Magnustorm is there if they can find a jump away from the Nard. 2 men knock up there, but now the teleport is in. Atakan secured as now it is the all the damage coming down. Frostbite decimated as it's the support, the only one that falls. Liz flies away, but it's Frostbite who loses 2 members plus the Atakan. Harold wasn't quite there yet. The tidal wave just too big of a knock up. The Frozen 2, the Moonfall, everything are not things you want to pile onto. No bullet time and no Fallen Star were up just yet, and now it is also the Dragon secured by Quantum Enigma. Soul Point plus the Atakan is very, very nice, as now also in his mid lane the Vi has to jump away, but of course the Vault Breaker is an excellent tool to do that.
What are Frostbite fighting there for? Their jungler still dead, their cooldown still not up, and they go in anyway with a numbers disadvantage, no cooldowns. The cleanse forced out of Josh, who has to burn the flash as well, but Harold's coming around the corner, tries to find the kill to Black Wings, who's the most important member, and now there's no damage on the side of Quantum Enigma. Siasti finds Ari Darling as the searing charge only finds a knock up onto Harold. Josh still running, strutting away, has the movement speed, goes down in the end, but it's a double kill for Siasti as well, and now everyone except for the support who was killed in the last fight and just respawned is dead on the side of Quantum Enigma. Frostbite have everyone except for the AD carry, and it might be a Baron angle for them, and they're going to be making their way over there. It's going to die quite quickly, even though Josh is dead. They have an Aurelian Soul, and now Skim Panzer just zoning away this Nami as the Baron started up by Frostbite, and there's absolutely nowhere for anyone to contest. Nara into a wall as Smelio is dropping incredibly low. A couple turret shots tanked Aqua Prison, will knock up Skimpanzer, and the flash has to be burnt by Smelio. Skimpanzer is dying to a turret. That was slightly dubious, but it went over to the Nami, so it's not that bad.
Yeah, I think right there his thought was, if I stick around here much longer, Blackpink is just going to secure the kill. So I just have to either run through the turret and hope it doesn't kill me, or die to this Lucian and give more gold to one of their key members. So just decided to instead sacrifice himself to the turret. Baron secured, won't be going onto the Gnar, but still Frostbite. I mean, yeah, they have the gold lead back once again, but was fighting against a Dragon down, and the Azakon will mean that once this Baron falls away, Quantum Enigma, I think, having the advantage in this game. But for now, Frostbite looking good, and it's just these fights are so messy. But right now, it's just, I think the biggest thing is just that Ari Darling has been having these amazing ults. It didn't actually matter in the last fight, but it seems every time he uses his ultimate, he is dodging some big ultimate, or is able using it to catch someone. So Ari Darling, he has been playing incredibly well already this year. Had a really good game 2 and is showing up once again in game 3. So for now, Frostbite with a small lead can use this Baron, but for now aren't able to do too much. The wave clear solid enough, as it's the Ornn, the one who are engaging upon the Lissandra, is there as well. But with that, it does mean that Frostbite can't go too much further on this play, as they're struggling a bit to make the most of this Baron.
Yeah, they're gonna probably be able to grab this turret here with that range. They can just hit away that turret, the Baron empowered cannon minions, just sitting there and shooting it from afar. So they're able to get a little bit of gold out of that, as Skimpanzer is still pushing in this bot lane, as all 5 members of Quantum Enigma currently here in the top lane, and no one's answering Skimpanzer. Parademon is trying to look for something, but Harold too tanky to go down just yet, as Blidox will be rotating over that tower very low thanks to this Gnar, and might go down. It will go down in the end. Another 700 gold, this time exclusively for Skimpanzer, and now a 5k lead for Frostbite, as a lot of it's unspent, but once they manage to get those bases in, that's going to be a very, very big advantage for the team that should be stronger inside of these team fights if they play them correctly. Drake is spawning up in about a minute, and if they can make use of this gold in that fight, Frostbite should be the ones who end up taking it.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Frostbite, I think slightly stronger than Baron. Is it fallen off yet? Not yet, but I think it should be soon. So those extra stats will then be gone. And it does seem like the Acel, this once again has the flank star. It feels like every time he has the ability of, though, it has just been dodged away by the entire team. Like anytime the big knockup that is supposed to sort of decide these team fights, either it's used on a golden Lissandra, or on some Lucian that is able to dodge away from it. Frostbite is already looking for this fight, though, with the Dragon a bit up the road. Bloodox isn't actually with this team just yet, so Frostbite might be taking this time as they'll go forward onto one bullet time, landing onto so many now. Falling Star managing to already take down 2. The gold on the Sunrise in the middle of the fight, now taken down. Will go gold once again, is able to secure the kill onto Listo, but the rest of the team is already gone, and now Frostbite, it's just an R as they take the kill. Big death timers as Smelio, he left the game. I'm not sure whether that was on purpose, but it does seem like Frostbite can secure the game here, as they are just diving underneath the turret. I think 27 seconds on the first member for Quantum Enigma. Frostbite are looking to take this. Quantum Enigma, they did so well. They did everything they could. But Frostbite, they're just slightly better each game. It doesn't feel like this game was supposed to be a Quantum Enigma gave it everything. They gave so much, but they just wasn't enough, as Frostbite go 3-0 and continue in Valanth League Division 2.
A beautiful finish to the game. They found the wombo combo they needed and just ended right there and right then. Frostbite Mayhem beautifully played there in game 3, especially towards the end. And in the end, Quantum Enigma, they put up a fight, but there's not really much to show for it, as they go down 3-0 to Frostbite Mayhem.
Yeah, I mean, just a great series. I think the fact that this is, I'm sad that this is a 3-0 because I would have loved 2 more games of this mayhem. As it's just every fight was so close. Quantum Enigma, every game there looked to be moments where they were able to fight the game, but at the end, it just wasn't enough. It was just Frostbite who was able to find the picks, who find the play, who finds those key team fights, and yeah, it's a deserved win as well. I mean, maybe it's not the most deserved 3-0, but it's definitely a deserved win as Frostbite, who are just slightly better. As we are going to have an interview, Harold Hammond and Skimpanza are already waiting, so let's not wait much longer and cut right to the
Hello.
chase. As hello,
Yellow.
boys. Yeah, so
Hello,
let's start
hello, and
with a quick congratulations. Uh, yeah, for the win, a close series. What is going through you right now?
Thank you.
Well, good fucking morning, Mayhem. Took us a while.
Yeah,
That's my
I
feeling, at
think
least.
even if we won 3-0, I think it wasn't that clean, but Quantum Enigma played good and make us sweat a bit to win the games. And
Right.
remember that they beat us like 1 month ago, so I think
Yeah,
we improved a bit. And GG's to them because
yeah,
they always manage to play good, let's say.
yeah. Because
yeah,
I guess
I
looking
mean,
at yeah, continue.
yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you did lose, right? It was the last time you faced off against this team, they ended up winning. So, I mean, an incredible improvement over, managing to 3-0 them this time. Were you expecting it to be tougher than it was? Or would you say that the score didn't reflect how well Quantum Enigma playing?
Yeah,
Um,
I don't
in my
think it
opinion,
reflects how good they are, to be honest. But
yeah,
I don't know.
like they
To be
beat
honest,
SPX last week,
Mhm.
so I think they're a good team, and maybe they deserve 1 or 2 games this series. But I think without Picosa, they are a different team. Their
Yeah,
main jungler
they,
was a good player,
yeah.
and
I was about to say the fact that they didn't have their starting jungler for the series tonight. Uh, you know, this certainly did not help. But sadly, we couldn't. Our schedules didn't quite align for the data they needed, so we just needed to play tonight. But
Right.
GG's
Yeah,
to them.
because
They played a really strong series.
what were your main sort of what was the main focus coming into the series for you as a team?
Stop running it down in the mid game. Probably.
yeah,
Pretty much.
yeah, because I think when we lose, it's because we we kind of int or let's say play bad, but this we kind of improved, uh, and I think we will get better maybe next week.
Very
Right.
fair, very
Yeah,
fair.
because
Uh,
yeah, continue through.
I want to ask about the first game because the Mordekaiser jungle was a very interesting pick, and it was locked in first rotation red side. So was that a potential flex, or was that always just going to be the jungler?
It was a flex. To be honest, in my head, I was like, after the Wukong was picked, I was like, okay, maybe it's like Maokai, maybe I go Pantheon, maybe Vi or something. No, matchups really good into the Wukong. And then, but just this guy, my top laner, just says, "What if we pick Mordekaiser here and we flex it?" And I'm like, kind of stun locked. I'm like, okay, sure, why not? And then,
Yeah,
like
because
at the end of it,
I
it
think
just
based on
felt like it was a good matchup. Hmm?
yeah, because if Mordekaiser was jungle, it was good against Wukong because Wukong tends to play against AD champs to do good, let's say, and I can play Mordekaiser top and based on the enemy champ pool was also fine. But in the end, we said let's go for Mordekaiser jungle, and it worked. So good for us, and well played to Harold.
All right. Yeah,
Well
fair.
played, you do, man.
Yeah, I guess maybe also sort of in between the games, like did you make any alterations in your game plan after sort of only barely winning game 1 and game 2?
I think going into game 2, we felt a little less heavy. Like you feel a little less like dragged down by the fact that like the series is already like going a little bit your way. You want to continue, but you know you have a little bit of a buffer if you do lose. So we were a little like, especially like early on when we went for like the invades and whatnot, we were a little bit more carefree with our mentality. Like we usually don't try invades, we usually just line a scrimmage. And then this time, like this was just a call to try and invade, and then we just went. We burned a flash level 1. Yeah, but I don't think there
I
was
think
any
game
particular
2.
adaptation.
Yeah, but I think
Right.
game 2, after we saw that, let's say early game, apart from top lane, we were kind of behind. We kind of changed in what we wanted to do, and so we had, let's say, I'm on the Fed, and my job was just to run down the Jinx and don't let her play the game. So I think after we were behind, I think 4K goals, something like that, and we managed to come back. Also game 3, I think we were behind a bit.
Yeah, you were pretty much behind in every one of the
I think
games.
Comeback
yeah, we
merchants.
kind of int a bit early. we need to make some content,
True. Content
Oh,
was in fact made. Oh yeah, Waluigi having more connection issues. But also, I want to point out the draft because it seemed like you guys had better draft in all 3 of the games. Your drafts were always just incredibly solid. Even with like Mordekaiser Jungle being a weird pick, for example, it worked perfectly in the draft. Like, who is responsible for these drafts? Because the drafting has been phenomenal.
how much that would pay you to ask this? How much? I want to know the numbers. No, but
Hey,
it's
I'm
been
just
a
saying the
very
facts.
it's been a very like concerned effort from Elwood and Healy and a lot of the staff in Frostbite that we've just tried to like when we were first starting the split, we were a lot more freeform, and like going into it, as soon like we started looking shaky, and then like a bunch of things happened, and like it felt like the split was a bit on the ropes. So we with this like we asked some people to help us out, and start building a little bit of a more like identity and which identity to go for which draft and which champions fit that identity. So I think I think it helped us out because it gives us less champions to pick, but more flexibility in what we want to do in the game. So yeah.
Yeah, but let's say Lisk, our mid laner, had a baby like a week ago, and so he has like a lot of stuff to do, and so it's hard to practice, let's say, good right now. But I think we are playing kind of good, and we can maybe win next week. Let's see.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. Do you guys know who you're going to be facing up against next week?
Not
It's gonna
yet, but
be
the
nice
series is
arc
still
or
ongoing.
yeah,
Yeah, nice arc.
Nice
I
it's
arc
believe are
or
2-0 up.
nice arc.
Ape. Yeah, nice arc is 2 up right now.
Yeah, because perhaps looking at next week, what are your sort of what are still the things that you want to focus on to essentially fix for that series?
To not int early game.
Mid game. Early games are usually fine, and then like we get to the mid game and like we randomly die in a fucking turret. Or like
Yeah,
trying to
it's
fight
okay.
over a
You
scuttle
know,
crab, and then
since
it's kind of from then.
Very fair, very fair. I mean, overall, even even when the mid games were like there was a little bit of dying, it always just somehow you managed to pull it back. So I think as long as there's a little bit of inting from both sides, there's no harm done, right? You know, you in, I in. It's a bit of give and take. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure if Waluigi has any final questions before we wrap up this interview.
No, I believe. Do you have any? Because I'm out of questions.
Yeah, that's all I have
Right.
for this interview.
Right. Yeah. Then perhaps
Thank you.
a quick moment so you can shout out anyone you want. Just for a quick minute.
I think GG's to my team. Finally, we managed to win a game 3-0. And thank you for following the stream and Frostbite to streaming this. It's always good to have you guys streaming.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. Well then, I
Yeah,
think I want
just
to.
like
Unless Harold wants to say
like
something.
well, just trying. I just wanted to shout out. This is per always, the Frostbite, the Yurik, but all of my teammates, through the highs and the lows, we're all in it together still. And as much as it is painful, shout out to Quantum Enigma. They played a really good series, but someone has to win and someone has to lose.
Who do you think
Very
was
true.
MVP?
MVP is very difficult. As you know, throughout the different games, it was very much on different members of the team. So I think game one, I think Lysiasti had an incredible performance on the Aurora, and
Yeah.
was definitely a big part of the reason you won the game. But I think uh, both of you two also had your incredible moments in games 2 and 3. So I'm not entirely sure how I would give it to. What
Right. Yeah. I
Waluigi, do
think.
you think?
I think indeed there were many members. I think Liz, like his first and third game strong, and he really did a lot. But I think, I mean, second and third game bit he got outplayed a bit by the enemy mid laner. So that works against him like a tiny bit. But I think overall he was one of the strong members. Scampanza, you also had a great series. So I think at the end all members just really carried their weight. So yeah, I think just a very equal series.
Yeah.
But anyway, with that in the books, I want to thank both teams, Quantum Enigma and Frostbite Mayhem, for the incredible series. It was very, very fun to watch. I want to thank my co-caster Thrio for the support today. I want to thank Elwood for setting up the stream, and thank all the viewers for watching today. As I think that is then the end of the stream, unless Thrio has anything left to add.
That is all that we have for today. Thank you all for coming to watch, however, and well, I hope you're here to catch our next stream. But for this stream, that is all for now, and we will see you later.
Yes, see you next time.